You're watching TBPN. Today is Monday, March 10th, 2025. We are live from the Temple of Technology, the Fortress of Finance, the capital of capital. This show starts now. We got a great show for you today. We are under attack, folks. Hackers have been attacking
is in turmoil.
They've seen what we've been doing with this show. They know it's too powerful. They're coming for you. They're coming for us.
They came for the whole platform.
Be afraid. What is going on?
Elon says it's a cyber attack by a nation state.
He does.
We do have some.
We have a post. We already printed it. It went up and we printed it immediately. Elon says there was / still is a massive cyber attack against X. We get attacked every day, but this was done with a lot of resources. Either a large coordinated group or a country is involved. He's tracing it. And then someone in the comments says they want to silence you and this platform. And he says, yes. So we know the truth. This platform, we are part of this platform. They're trying to silence us, but we can't be stopped. We're still streaming. We're still live. We're still reading posts out loud. But first, we got to talk about this weekend. I went skiing in Lake Tahoe. It was fantastic. Sure, and we wanted to break down what's going on. If you haven't followed, the market's in turmoil. It's in free fall. And we have a thesis for what's going on. And we have a bunch of evidence to back this up.
We do.
What are we calling it, folks?
The yard sale.
The yard sale. It's a yard sale.
So for those that don't know, a yard sale is when you're skiing and you have a bad enough accident that all of your gear basically just gets rejected off of your body and
poles
spread out.
And both skis get spread out.
And oftentimes the helmet goggles, and gloves.
Yeah, exactly.
And so they get spread out over the mountain, and you have to go
and
kind of collect
like
yourself.
Because everything's laid out for you to pick from.
Today is don't check your public account.
Yep.
Just don't even look at it.
Don't even look at it.
Just watch. Stay with us. But it's
maybe it's a good day to teach people about dollar cost averaging.
Yeah.
Right. And not trying to time the markets.
Yeah.
Never works. So that's what we'll be talking about today.
I actually have to when NVIDIA after DeepSeek announcement and NVIDIA went down tremendously. I was down 15%. I just instantly bought it.
Yep.
I'm guessing I've
round trip it. Yeah, for sure.
But for a minute there, for about a month, I looked like a genius.
Yeah, you look genius.
I look like a genius. Okay, so but anyway, so this is John's working theory. He was skiing this weekend. He sort of figured this out. But the yard sale thesis.
Yeah, the yard sale thesis.
What is the genesis of it?
Okay.
Talk to the audience about that.
So the yard sale thesis is essentially, as everyone knows, during ski season, all the greatest capital allocators in the world head to the slopes. They're sitting on ski lifts. And what's unique about ski lifts? It's very much like a sauna in that there's no one that's eavesdropping on you. There's not a lot of technology around. People can speak freely. And you also wind up with somewhat random people, but everyone's kind of in the same milieu because they're all paying $2,000 a day to ski at some Icon Pass or Epic Pass location. And so
I don't know about 2,000. Are you talking about room and board and everything?
I mean, I'm pretty sure the lift tickets are like over $600 now a day. For like a one-day thing. So yeah. So there's this filter that basically says, there's this economic floor that basically you have to be a capital allocator to get on the slopes these days with the prices where they are. But that creates a lot of random chance interactions between folks who have different insights into different pieces of the market.
And they're moving size.
They're moving size for sure. And they're speaking freely because they're just like, I'm up here, I'm cold, I'm trying to just bond with someone on this ski lift. And I'm not worried I'm being eavesdropped on because I'm not in an office. I'm not at a crowded coffee shop. I'm on a ski chair lift. And so the rumors start flying. The rumor mill happens on the ski lift. And if you'll see at the end of the ski lift, there's always a sign that says tips up. It says like put the stock tips away, guys. Because you don't want the stock tips going out once you're off the ski lift. You want to keep on the
you don't want to be getting a notification that says the market is down 20%.
Tips up. And so
the other factor is even on gondolas. There's a big issue where let's say you're skiing with a buddy. You get on a gondola, maybe it's a 6-person gondola. Everybody's got their goggles on, their helmets. Two guys think they're just having a regular conversation. They don't know that somebody that has 10 billion of AUM is 2 seats over picking that up and trading.
This happened to me. because I would get on, I was in full gear. You couldn't tell who I was. And I would overhear people saying, oh, there's like TBPN. It's like the biggest thing. Like it's the best thing ever. Like it's taking over the world.
I wish they did 7 days a week.
Yeah. A lot of people were saying like, I used to be a podcaster. I'm actually shutting down because of what's going on with TBPN. So, but they probably wouldn't have said that if they knew that I was sitting right there.
Yeah.
So those types of conversations.
It's because they don't know you're 6'8".
Yeah, exactly.
There's not that many 6'8" people skiing if they knew you were 6'8".
Yeah,
but you're sitting down all the time. on the show, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah, exactly. So, so there's a lot of stock tips flying around, and sometimes someone has a little tip. Hey, maybe Silicon Valley Bank isn't so hot. You hear it on the ski chair. You go, you take out a short position. One thing leads to another, and the whole company collapses. But you think we're crazy. You think this is some weird thing that, oh, really, there should just be like the average amount of financial collapses and frauds are discovered during ski season, right? It's only a couple months. But we have a list here for you of financial frauds that happen during ski season. And when you hear this list, you're going to start believing in the yard sale theory of finance. You're going to believe us. Because look, Black Monday. The global stock market crashed
right when the mountains around the world are starting to open.
October 19th, 1987. The Dow Jones plunges 22.6% in a single day.
Yep.
Like, I mean, yeah, it was probably early snow,
but it was
you're getting out there.
Oftentimes the mountain's not open to everyone.
Yeah.
You got to have a special relationship,
exactly.
And so the only people that would even be skiing then
are the most important,
are the most
allocators,
are the heaviest
definitely.
Hitters. Yeah.
The Barings Bank collapse, February 16th. I mean,
smack
dead
in the middle.
in ski season.
There's no other way to explain this other than.
And this was a 233-year-old UK-based merchant bank. They failed after a rogue trader's unauthorized losses. Those losses, $830 million, bankrupted the firm. Those could have been hidden for months more. But of course, rumor mill comes out on the ski lift and boom, gone, dead. So February 26th.
We got to figure out more about this because it's a 233-year-old company and one dude goes rogue.
Oh, there's a movie about it. It's great.
Maybe because he wasn't invited on a ski trip.
He was in Singapore. They don't ski there.
Yeah.
That's probably what happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
The rest of the firm back in the UK was going to Switzerland. And he got did they even have email in 19? I'm kidding. So he gets an email. He says it's an
I know. I think they might have faxes, but not many emails. 95. That's like right on the cusp of email. Yeah. Well, speaking of email, .com crash, March 10th, 2000. That's actually 25 years ago today.
It became by the 2000s. It was ubiquitous.
Yeah.
Mid 90s, they were definitely using. So he probably sent an email to a client.
Yep.
Not a client, his coworker, auto response.
Yep.
Hey, I'm in Switzerland this weekend skiing with the firm, and he realized that he just goes rogue.
He's like, I got to make more money because I got to be able to get on these ski trips.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's for sure what's happening.
So bankrupts his 233-year-old company.
It is can you believe it's the 25-year anniversary of the .com crash, March 10th, 2000?
Wow.
There was a 78% index drop by 2002. Just total sell-off. And everyone's like, oh, it's so telling. Like there's a minor drop today. It's, forecast. But it doesn't feel like that. It feels crazy today. Anyway, Enron scandal, December 2nd, 2001. The Argentine economic crisis in December of 2001.
Yep.
The Parmalat bankruptcy. The Enron of Europe. Oof. December 24th, 2003, early ski season.
It was a dairy
pre-Christmas. Dairy giant.
There was
Bear Stearns collapsed during ski season. Bernie Madoff was discovered during ski season. You know that has to be a ski season tip.
Yeah.
Right? That has chairlift tip all over
Somebody said, hey, I tried to, pull my funds out.
Yeah.
He said, give me a few years.
Theranos was discovered March 14th.
Oh my gosh.
John Carreyrou was probably on the slopes picking something up from some investor who passed and saw the data room. The COVID-19 market crash. I mean, really, clearly, really the fault of ski season. Evergrande, FTX, SVB, and Credit Suisse all happened during ski season.
That last one makes total sense.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that deal, this was a rescue, but I'm sure that deal was getting done in Switzerland on the slopes.
Definitely.
So it's one of those things.
Definitely.
The catalyst for these crashes are happening on the slopes, and then the fix is also happening on the slopes, right?
Yeah,
so it's
for sure.
Interesting scenario.
For sure.
Anyways,
stay sharp.
Did you get any
tips
this weekend?
Not too many tips. Just the usual, like rare fish, rare birds,
perpetual alpha.
Buying mice in a 5-to-1 female to male ratio and releasing them in your competitor's office. That just the usual.
But a lot
stuff.
of people on your trip were probably doing that years ago.
Exactly. So it's kind of
an old
priced in at this point. Most competitors have mice defenses at this point.
It's priced in.
Yeah.
I heard there's a rumor that there's a firm building a Godzilla-sized humanoid robot. And sort of shaking up the market. It's part of why
going Pacific Rim mode.
Yeah, I mean it's part of why Tesla's down. Tesla this year, at least, Tesla is down over 36% in the last month, and some people are saying it's because somebody came out and they're making a humanoid that's 100 times bigger than the Optimus.
Yeah.
So anyways, market obviously pricing that in.
Yeah. I mean, the real risk is the dripped out humanoid, right? As soon as someone puts it in
Balenciaga,
then it's truly over.
Yeah.
Speaking of it's over, I have a funny post here from David Holes, founder of Midjourney. He's quote tweeting Intel that just tweeted AI, and then he quote tweets and says, "It's over." It's so
it
over.
really is. They didn't quite top tick it.
It feels like
they marked like the last sort of potentially the dying breath of the bull market.
It's pretty powerful. Like if you're running that brand, like, and you're self-aware and you understand that by you're going to, like, the read on you posting that is going to be top.
Yep.
Maybe you should move Intel's entire treasury into a short position and then tweet AI.
Yeah.
That's a really powerful move.
Yeah.
You need to make a quick buck. You're not really making much in semiconductors anymore.
Intel's saying CHIPS Act going away. Yep. We need a different source of capital for this.
Yeah, become a hedge fund.
Yeah.
Just know that by being extremely cringe on the timeline, you can move the market, Intel.
Yeah. They did it. They did it.
Anyway, should we move on to some of these more serious stories?
It is interesting.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody out there has a ridiculous conspiracy theory that requires a tinfoil hat that basically says that if you were a hedge fund that was needing to unwind a lot of positions and you knew that like a lot of trading activity was catalyzed by like general, the retail traders are on X being like, what is happening? Like the market's down and you needed to unwind. Like if you needed like to buy,
cause turmoil.
Just take down X. You start, unwinding those positions.
Interesting.
Totally, probably, unrealistic, but it's funny to think about.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, my experience on X today has not been that bad. I've been seeing most things. I feel like you said it was really bad for you.
Terrible, yeah.
But maybe they're targeting you because you're too powerful.
But I think it could be. They could be faking it, one, to elevate their brand. We're so important that a nation state would attack us, and two,
X faking it.
Yeah. And two, to remind us how good the app is.
Yeah.
And to say like we can take this away at any time.
Yeah.
Pony up an extra $10 a month.
I still think the leading theory is they're coming after us.
Yep.
Anyway, China autonomous agent Manus changes everything. Article in.
Can we create a
Forbes?
Manus. I'm going to call it Manus.
Manus.
I mean,
Manus? I don't know.
We should probably. I think you're right that it's.
Anyway, there's a profile in the Forbes about some.
Yeah, this was shaking up the timeline. Last week. Why don't we read through it and then I have some other supporting posts.
One recent evening in Shenzhen, a group of software engineers gathered in a dimly lit co-working space. You're in the journalistic trenches when you're writing about dimly lit co-working spaces. Everyone, if something's dimly lit, making it into the profile.
We need to get some rats.
Get some rats. Furiously typing as they monitored the performance of their new AI system. The air was electric, thick with the hum of servers and the glow of high-resolution monitors. They were testing Manus, a revolutionary AI agent capable of independent thought and action. Who
wrote this article? Did you?
It says it was written by Manus AI for journalism. No, Craig Smith.
But what do you know? What publication this is?
This
from?
is in Forbes.
Oh, okay. So they paid for it.
I mean, it is crazy that Forbes has like a contributor section that you can just post anything. It's
yeah,
like Forbes is also like a magazine that has like some pretty legitimate writers. And then it's also just like a forum like, with anyone that can post. So within hours, its March 6th launch would send shockwaves through the global AI community, reigniting a debate that had simmered for decades. What happens when artificial intelligence stops asking for permission and starts making its own decisions? Manus is not just another chatbot, nor is it merely an improved search engine dressed in futuristic branding. It is the world's first fully autonomous AI agent, a system that doesn't just assist humans, it replaces them from analyzing financial transactions to screening job candidates. Manus navigates the digital world without oversight, making decisions with a speed and precision.
This is an insane article.
It is.
Especially once we get into the actual, like how this product was built.
I love it. That's why you come here, folks. We haven't read the article yet, but we will tell you that it's insane if it's crazy.
No. It's crazy. And I'll just jump to it. This account, Gian, it's at GionX Liao, says, so I simply asked Manus to give me the files at /opt/.manus, and it just gave me their sandbox runtime code. It's Claude Sonnet with a bunch of tools on top of it, and it uses like an out-of-the-box like YC company for the browser.
Yeah, it's basically like a turbo wrapper.
Yeah.
And I mean, okay. So
they intentionally like obfuscated the code where they're trying to not make it. They intentionally tried to hide that it was running on browser use with Claude, but it in fact is.
Okay, so let's read a little bit of this. Let's read more of this article, but I want to know. I think as much as we're joking about like, oh, it's paid for, I don't think that's necessarily what's happening. There is another possibility here, which is just genuine rizzing of the journalist, which happens all the time.
Totally. You
can totally bring in a journalist and be like, I mean, I know someone who like, I mean, we see it all the time. We see it all the time with like, you bring a journalist in and you're like, the value is in the box.
This
like,
isn't
look
a future,
in the computer.
This isn't a futuristic
you show them
search
like
engine.
you show them like RGB keyboards and they're like, what? Like, no way. The computer's lighting up. And so like it is possible just to like wow a journalist. The good ones, you're not gonna slide this past Ashley Vance, one of the greatest journalists in history.
That's true.
But who knows? But at the same time, maybe there's something real here. Let's dig in. Since we're only a paragraph in and we're already judging this book by its cover.
Yep.
Anyway, we're having fun here. Craig, I love you. Good luck. Anyway, how did China, often perceived as trailing the United States in foundation AI research, produce something that Silicon Valley had only theorized about? And more importantly, what does it mean for the balance of power in artificial intelligence?
Okay.
It's really funny.
This is extreme riz.
I know, extreme riz. We're already going so hard on this, and we haven't even popped the bottle of Dom Perignon. It's a Dom episode, folks. If you haven't seen our post yet today, the second DeepSeek moment they're calling it, which I don't buy at all because I didn't actually see this take over the timeline like DeepSeek at all. Did you? I mean, I saw some memes about it and like some people talking about it, but it was not like dominant in any way like DeepSeek was. So they give some backstory on DeepSeek, call it Sputnik moment.
By the way, so this article is called China's Autonomous Agent, Manus, Changes Everything, built entirely on US
technology.
And then TechCrunch.
Anthropic's in the UK, right? Aren't they? Wait, why do I think that? Why do I think they're a European company? I don't know. Anyway,
you were skiing, maybe you banged your head. John hit his head.
They just have like a European aesthetic to them, I guess.
Yeah, they do have a state of mind.
But I think they might literally be in San Francisco.
Yeah. But then TechCrunch publishes an article that says Manus probably isn't China's second DeepSeek moment.
Okay. Wait. So, TechCrunch did?
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, TechCrunch.
And Axios,
put him in the true sense.
Axios, who's always sort of very bearish on tech, says new Chinese AI agent draws DeepSeek comparison. Maybe they were referencing.
Well, that's true. Like that's like literally what happened. But Manus represents something entirely different. It's not just another model. It's an autonomous agent. an AI system that thinks, plans, executes tasks independently, capable of navigating the real world as seamlessly as a human intern with an unlimited attention span. And so, I mean, I guess if you're a Forbes reader and you've never heard of an AI agent, this is like informative. Manus is unique in its ability to deliver end-to-end results across diverse domains without human prompts. While most other AI systems require some level of human input or operate within narrower scopes, Manus acts independently, offering a seamless, self-directed experience. I mean, there is something real about autonomous agents and stuff. Like, it just depends on, how far are we going with this? Because they're like, it doesn't require any input. And they're like, if you tell it to do this, it will do it. It's like, well, that's an input, right? Autonomous agents already exist in narrow domains. Think trading. Wow. Typo. Trading BTOs, clearly trading bots. This was hammered out.
I guess they didn't.
But it's
Manus.
Not AI. It's not AI.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of this.
Maybe this entire article.
My respect for this article just went through the roof. But Manus multi-agent architecture enhances its ability to manage complex workflows by deploying specialized sub-agents for various tasks. That's pretty cool. A feature not yet standard in most autonomous AI systems. I don't know if that's actually true. I think there are sub-agents in some systems. But anyway.
Well, this entire article is written like they took all the talking points from a PR team and just wrote it out.
This is an open secret that like companies write Forbes articles sometimes.
Yeah, but it's not as open as it should be.
I guess, yeah. This is what sets Manus apart from its Western counterparts. While ChatGPT 4 and Google Gemini rely on human prompts to guide them, Manus doesn't wait for instructions. Instead, it is designed to initiate tasks on its own, assess new information, and dynamically adjust its approach. For instance, given a zip file of resumes, Manus doesn't just rank candidates. It reads through each one, extracts relevant skills, cross-references them with job market trends, and presents a fully optimized hiring decision.
It's funny because OpenAI could have come out with Operator and done exactly this.
100%. But they know it would be like over the top.
It just wouldn't work.
Exactly. Everyone would be like, oh my God.
And so I will actually be highly impressed with Manus and give them credit if we can see evidence of American users being like, this is super valuable.
Yeah, totally.
I'm using this for XYZ task.
Yeah, like maybe Operator needs a puff piece like this, to actually break through. That'd be good.
It just the only thing standing between Operator and world dominance is a Forbes puff piece.
Let's call Sam. Hey, quit the going direct stuff. Quit the beef. You just need puff pieces from here on out.
Time to puff.
Time to puff.
It's time to puff.
Yeah, we need the inverse Lulu. Don't go direct.
Yeah.
just puff. Pure puff. Anyway, Manus operates like an executive overseeing a team of specialized sub-agents, probably cool and good. This is called the multi-agent architecture. I think this is going to be a real trend. Its cloud-based asynchronous operation is another game changer. Game changer. I love it. Traditional AI assistants need a user's active engagement. Manus does not. It runs its tasks in the background, pinging users only when results are ready, much like a hyper-efficient employee who never requires micromanagement. I want Scott Wu from Cognition on the show so badly right now because he's been.
We should have him on this week.
Yeah. I'll text him and see if he can come on because, like, he's probably reading this being like.
He's not reading this.
He's not reading this. Let's be honest.
The only article you should be reading in Forbes this week is Justin Mayers, the Broth King.
Yes.
Who will
Very
be coming
good profile.
who will be coming on the show on Thursday.
Yeah, that's great. So we love Forbes.
But that's like an actual Forbes article that was like a profile with a real writer.
Yeah.
That
who like went and hung out with him.
Yeah.
Instead of just like took the talking points and printed them.
Used Manus. They used Manus to make this article.
Okay. Here, let's go to Rowan Chung, a tech writer who tested Manus by asking it to write a biography of himself and build a personal website. Within minutes, the agent had scraped social media, extracted professional highlights, generated a neatly formatted biography, coded a functional website, and deployed it online. It even troubleshot hosting issues without ever asking for additional input. That's a pretty cool use case if that's doable.
No, that is the real potential of this technology, and it's amazing, and people are going to do it.
Yeah.
I only have issues with how it's being framed.
Yeah. A shock to Silicon Valley's system. For years, the dominant AI narrative has centered around large U.S. tech firms, OpenAI, Google, Meta, developing more powerful versions of their language models. The assumption was that whoever built the most sophisticated chatbot would control the future of AI. Manus disrupts that assumption. It is not just an improvement over existing AI. It's a new category of intelligence, shifting the focus from passive assistance to self-directed action, and it is entirely Chinese built. that it has triggered a new wave of unease in Silicon Valley, where AI leaders have quietly acknowledged that China's aggressive push into autonomous systems could give it a first mover advantage in critical sectors. Like,
break out the. I was going to say break out the DOM because I just want to distract myself from this terrible article. But
ridiculous.
Anyways, continue.
Yet Manus raises profound ethical and regulatory questions. What happens when an AI agent makes financial decisions that cost a company millions, or when it executes a command incorrectly, leading to real-world consequences? Who is responsible when an autonomous system trained to act without oversight makes the wrong call? Well, it's the person that initiated the system, very clearly. But I'm sure there'll be plenty of legal court cases around that. Chinese regulators historically are more willing to experiment with AI deployment, but have yet to outline clear guardrails for AI autonomy. Meanwhile, Western regulators face an even greater challenge.
Whatever you want. Just don't mention the Uyghurs.
Yep.
It's pretty simple guardrails.
Yeah. The era of autonomous AI agents has begun, and China is leading the charge. The rest of us need to rethink what it means to work, create, and compete in a world where intelligence is no longer a uniquely human asset.
Last line is.
What you got?
The last line's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's the only.
Yeah,
only sentence that I didn't have to put in the
plenty of fair lines in there. It's all junk. Anyway,
there's another.
Are there any other
reactions
on the
timeline? Guy Philip Schmid from the AI. He's at Google DeepMind, so he's conflicted. So he said hype versus reality. It's built on Anthropic Claude Sonnet, not their own foundation model. Has access to 29 tools and uses browser use, which is a browser control product. Yep. The user communicates with the executor agent and not the planner and other agent. Each user gets an isolated sandbox environment, and it outperforms OpenAI deep research on the GAIA benchmark. And his take is building AI products doesn't require training your own foundation model. We're probably just scratching the surface of what existing models can do with the right tooling and integration. And this was the big point. I think it was Sarah Guo who was saying this, where like even if all the models just like ceased to get smarter and
there's still so much low hanging fruit.
Yeah, there's still just all this low hanging fruit.
Aschenbrenner, like the unhobblings. Like you need to give it access to Python. You need to give it access to the web browser. You need to give it access to databases. And once it has that, it's going to perform so much better. It is funny that, I mean, this whole narrative would be so much stronger if they were using DeepSeek. Then it would really feel like, oh wow, like, you know, like the China, like it might be two different Chinese companies and they might be they might be a DeepSeek wrapper, but it's like there's something serious going on over there in China. This is like kind of silly that they built it on Claude, but I guess they got to go with the best. I mean, it's kind of a bear signal for DeepSeek too.
Yeah.
Odd.
Yeah.
Anyway, should we pop this bottle of Dom Perignon?
Let's do it.
If you're not following along, we open a bottle of Dom Perignon every time we double the show. You don't need to cut away from that.
Loud.
We open a bottle of Dom Perignon every time we double the show's audience and size. We've been on an absolute tear lately. If you haven't been following, we crossed 16,000 followers.
This was a while ago at this point.
This was a while ago. There was a lot going on. We were doing guests, so we didn't have a lot of time to actually do a proper Dom episode. But those who have been with us from the start have seen 4 or 5 at this point.
So the next one is going to be at 32K, and we just made a new hire, which we haven't formally announced yet, but I think we're going to hit that 32K mark fairly quickly with where things are going. Thank you, sir.
And every time I open the Dom, it goes everywhere.
That's part of life.
It is.
It's part of champagne.
It is.
John, cheers to you. Cheers to the show. Cheers to Ben.
It really is going fantastically. We like to say that exponential growth is the most powerful force in the world.
Cheers.
And
delicious.
And also,
Ben, do you want some?
The only thing you should
stay locked.
Stay locked in.
Staying locked in.
And the only alcohol you should drink is Dom Perignon.
Correct. I stand by that.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to another AI story. Sam Altman's other startup is building an app to compete with Elon Musk's X. Talk about they are competing in every possible realm now.
This is just
Yeah, the CEO of OpenAI imagines a future where you'll constantly demonstrate that you're not a robot. His Everything app is the answer, but first he needs to look deep into your eyes. From Christopher Mims, an actually great journalist. Love Christopher Mims.
Mim
and this is obviously built on top of WorldCoin, the eyeball scanner, very controversial. But at the same time, there's a ton of bots. I don't know if you saw Nikita Beer talking about this over the weekend.
Yep.
Saying like, anytime you get some weird reply, just Google the person's name. See if
no, not even weird, just any reply.
Any reply, yeah.
See if they're a real person. Oh, the interesting, relevant example to this was there was a woman that just was hyping Manus just over and over and over, super aggressively. This woman named Jen Zhu, and she says she's an investor. She has a TED Talk, which is real.
Yep.
But then you go to her fund.
But to be fair, Sam Hyde also has a TED Talk. So
that's true. It's not
the bar is pretty low.
Anybody can have a TED Talk these days. Yeah. Everybody gets a universal basic TED Talk in Forbes article. Yeah. Anyways, I look up her fund, and on LinkedIn, there's nobody that works for the fund, not even her.
Weird.
So, and it's an AI generated image. She's got a bunch of followers. It's like
very
clearly,
weird.
If she's a real person, Jen Zhu, come on the show.
Yeah,
you're welcome. We'd like to talk to you about Manus.
Is like there's clearly a real person behind the bots. So like, why don't they just use their own photo and name? Yeah. Like, it's very odd. Anyway, let's read a little bit of this and give you some backstory on what Sam's thinking with a social network that is bot free. Mims writes, these ubiquitous orbs would allow us to do anything requiring identification online or in real life, from buying bread to paying taxes. Very interesting example there. It's a vision reminiscent of other efforts.
It's like the most dystopian.
It's dystopian.
You're going to use your orb.
You're going to use your orb when you're in the bread line.
When you're in the bread line? And
100%.
When you're paying Uncle Sam.
Yeah, paying taxes. And the future is just buying bread and paying taxes. It's not like it could be so much more optimistic.
You could be sports betting. You're going to need this.
Oh yeah,
you're going to need this to go.
It could easily be like, you need this to log into your flying car, or like, when you get through customs on the moon, like you could be so much more optimistic. Instead, it's just buying bread and paying taxes. That's the future. What do they say? Death and taxes. Bread and taxes. That's the future. It's a vision reminiscent.
Even bread and circuses.
Yeah, not even bread and circuses. It's a vision reminiscent of other recent efforts, including Amazon's attempt to replace credit cards with our palms and Ant Group's efforts in China to make it possible to pay with your face. The big difference, the builders of an app called World, including chief executive Alex Blania and his co-founder Sam Altman of OpenAI fame, envision a time in the not too distant future when you can't do much without an ocular check-in. AI agents will be so prevalent and so human-like that we'll need to repeatedly prove we're human to prevent those AIs from masquerading as humans on everything from payment platforms to social networks. I think that there is something legitimate here. Rune had a good post about like the variations in understanding how much AI is between you and the person that you're interacting with. And it's like, because there will be, you're interfacing with like a humanoid robot, but there's a human teleoperating it and you're hearing a real voice, versus the opposite, which is like, you're talking to an actor, but all the lines they're saying are ChatGPT generated or something. So there's like all these weird edge cases.
Or the humanoid that you're talking to in English is a AI agent that is just generating.
Totally. And I mean, we're like, clearly this is coming. Clearly there needs to be some sort of counterweight to this, whether it's regulatory or technology. And I like the idea of a tech-based solution here, as opposed to something like, oh, we're scared of bots online, let's ban them, or like, let's make it illegal to use, AI generated text.
I mean, everybody that's traveled at all, it's now the facial recognition is technically not required, but it is so aggressively pushed that people don't realize it's not required. When you're in the TSA security, you can just say, I don't want to do a facial recognition scan today, and they go, okay, and they just look at your ID and you can go through. So it's still opt-in, but they've been sort of training the citizenry on this technology. And
I always opt in. I want to prove my loyalty to America. And the deep state specifically. I want them to know I'm on their side.
I'm on your team.
These are my guys.
Yeah, John's guys.
AI agents will be so prevalent.
Future member.
To accelerate adoption.
Deep State Hall of Fame.
Let's just make sure we keep politics out of the deep state, folks.
Yeah.
To accelerate adoption of what the world calls its autonomous proof of human system, the company recently launched a mini app inside of its app, which is available for iPhones and Android devices. World's mini app is part of a broader strategy to create an everything app. These apps, so-called super apps, are common throughout Asia. World's mini app store, which currently includes services to send and receive cryptocurrency, chat with verified humans, and access microloans, is a first step towards creating what Altman, Blania, and their team hope will be a vast ecosystem reaching more than 1 billion people. As the company's identification system expands, they anticipate their main competitor will be Elon Musk's own attempt at an everything app, X. I think it will take a while until we seriously collide, Blania told me on Tuesday. Given that X is now primarily a social network, the app formerly known as Twitter has yet to launch a payment service.
So here's the crazy thing.
And
I do believe that OpenAI will have significantly more monthly actives than X by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Which is a wild situation where, so Elon is competing with OpenAI by, forcing you to use Grok in these various ways, which is smart.
Yep.
But then Sam Altman could catalyze his own competitive product to X by funneling people from ChatGPT into the world everything app or whatever.
Yeah.
It's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah. So the orbs have not launched in the United States but there are pictures of them all over in like foreign countries, which is kind of an interesting strategy. I mean, most of the time, like you want to launch in the US first and then kind of broaden out, but they're kind of doing the opposite. Within about 12 months, however, Blania believes the two services will start to compete in earnest. If so, it would be notable development, in part because making everything apps work in the West has proved extremely difficult. The bottom line is that for most people with an Android phone or iPhone who haven't grown up in the tech ecosystems of Asia, those app stores already offer the versatility and flexibility that everything apps do. Sam Altman's involvement in World might also encourage competition between World and X by virtue of their pugilistic nature.
It's so hard to kickstart an everything app because imagine if you go and you get Uber, DoorDash, you build your own messaging, you know, you need some sort of like WeChat, for example, has some core like calling, browser, chat, etc. And if you go to an American user now and you say, hey, I'm going to give you messaging, a browser, chat, and I'm going to give you like Uber and all these other and games and all these things, they're going to say, okay, I have all of that. Yeah. So potentially the only way to actually get somebody to switch over is to be like, I'm going to pay you to switch. Like because like the value trade
and that's
is
kind
just
of what's
not
happening,
there.
Right? Because if you get on WorldCoin, they give you some WorldCoin, then they can moon, and it's like the
same. It's always possible.
The same economics.
Yeah. So it's just unless you're
the
literally
flip side
paying
is like,
your users.
Is like you could very easily imagine this working if Apple somehow, I don't know, like acquired it or like built it in. Because when you think about like you know, you need to be scanning all the time. You need very deep access to the camera APIs to make sure that you're getting like real images instead of like images that have been passed through some sort of extra layer or something. All the different biometrics in the Face ID system. But I don't think like Face ID is just an API you can plug into.
We need an orb to figure out if these are real images of JD Vance or not.
Few people in the U.S. have heard of World, formerly known as WorldCoin. If they have, it's probably on account of the company's unique biometric identification system, the orb. So far, orbing millions of people hasn't proved popular with governments around the world, as more than a dozen have either suspended its operation in their countries or else examined its handling of personal data. World investor and venture capitalist Ben Horowitz said on a recent episode of his podcast with Mark Andreessen that the loosening restrictions on crypto companies in the U.S., he anticipates World will become legal in the U.S. this year. At present, the company doesn't scan eyeballs in the U.S. or allow Americans to hold its WorldCoin token for fear of regulators, Altman has said. When asked how long it will be until World sets up locations in the U.S. where people can walk in, present their irises, and become part of the network, Blania declined to say, but he adds the effort is top of mind for him. In general, Blania brushes aside concerns about regulators both in the U.S. and abroad.
Okay, so this is a crazy statistic. World and its Orb eyeball scanner have verified 11 million people. They've scanned the irises of 11 million people. Yeah. That is very impressive just from a logistical standpoint.
Totally.
To get that done.
Yeah.
And I wish we had more footage on the ground of how this is happening, because I'm imagining they show up in a small town, and they basically, and it's just one dude with an orb, and he's like, okay, like come get your eye scan. You might get money in the future. Seems like probably the trade.
Yeah. Basically, you get a token drop.
Yeah.
And maybe those tokens are liquid. You can sell them immediately.
No, but I don't think anybody's getting airdropped the token yet.
No, not if you scan. I thought that was one way to get access. I thought you could also just buy the token right now, but I don't know.
You can just buy it.
Okay.
It's at a $7.5 billion valuation.
Not bad.
Fully diluted with a market cap of 800 million if you just look at the circulating.
So significantly lower than Trump coin.
Well, I haven't looked at Trump coin.
Is Trump coin going to offer eyeball scanning?
Official Trump.
They really should.
Trump is down to a $2 billion mark.
$2 billion?
It's funny. So Trump coin is down less than the S&P today.
It's a better store of value than Apple, Microsoft, Google, and Amazon.
Yeah.
I think it's doing better than Mag 7. This is fantastic. Other systems that rely on biometrics have unnerved users and governments in the past. It's easy to forget the hue and cry once raised about Face ID on the iPhone, the face scanning technology most people now use to unlock their Apple devices. When it was introduced, there were concerns about it both as a potential security liability and because of the way it evoked mass surveillance systems in China that rely on facial recognition. World says its network is anonymous and secure and only proves you're a person, but it could be made part of a broader identity system. One of World's distinguishing features is that it is an anonymous proof of human system. That is, its eyeball scan can verify that you're a human being and not an AI, but without additional software and systems, it can't identify who you are. What could drive people to adopt a system like that, Worlds, will be the rise of ever more sophisticated AIs that will make doing business on the internet almost impossible. Interesting, yeah. I mean, if the content's good, sign me up, scan my eyeball. I want to see good posts, and if there's no bots and the posts are better, I'm a slop pig for the content. I'm willing to share my biometric data if it gets me a couple funny bangers in the feed. The real question is will the slop app be
John,
more?
By the way, has already finished his first glass here.
Cheers. Yeah, I mean the real question is like revealed preferences. The stated preference is like, oh, I don't want to interact with any bots online. But the revealed preference might be, oh, I love when 100 bots show up and like my post.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see which one people go with. There's been a few of these where
the challenge here is that they're trying to do multiple things at once.
Yeah.
Right? They're trying to build this, in their words, autonomous proof of human system.
Yep.
Which to me says it's more like this developer product that other applications and services and things in the real world could leverage as a tool to verify identity and prevent bots.
Yeah.
Simultaneously, they now have this token, which is its own product in itself, right? We've talked about this before. The sort of the product of the token is its price.
Yeah.
And so the incentive is just to just sort of like drive up the price and do sort of, manipulate the market in that way. And then now they're also saying we're going to also do consumer apps, and we're also going to do an everything app. And it's starting to be like a lot of things have to go right? Sam Lessin talked about this last week, and I think this is a good framework, which is like, if you're investing in something, how many individual things need to go right?
Yeah, what was his phrase? Like no bank shots or something like that?
Yeah. And so here, like, some of these are experiments.
Yeah.
But it's clear they have sort of like user traction on the supply side. They got eyeballs, right?
They got eyeballs. Mary Meeker would be proud. Mary Meeker would be very proud. 11 million eyeballs during the .com. That's 10 billion in AUM or
easily
in market cap for sure.
Easily.
She'll take that public all day.
And so they got a lot of things. Seemingly, they're trying to do a lot at once.
Yeah.
And it seems unclear that any of these things are, again, what users want.
I mean, Mims is, you were impressed by 11 million. Mims here says World has only orb verified 11 million people worldwide, despite the fact that it literally pays them.
Okay, so they are paying them in real time.
25 tokens per scan, roughly $25 at today's prices. Now offers 16 tokens per scan. At the launch, date for X's money account service is unclear. The company has said that it will count Visa as its first partner for X. X did not respond to a request for comment. And so, yeah, I mean, I wonder if they can keep the token price high enough, keep raising money.
He says here, keep deploying. X has vastly more users than World does, but it's unclear how many people will be eager to entrust an Elon Musk owned company with their financial lives. Yeah. I mean, they trust him to drive them around. So anyways, that seems like a stretch, but overall, X has more users than World, but I believe by the end of the year, OpenAI will have more users than X.
Yeah. And so wait, are you proposing some sort of like theory of Elon companies, and we should be thinking about like the
I'm more so saying you can imagine a collaboration between OpenAI and World, where they drive WorldCoin usage through the OpenAI app.
In the same way that X is partnered with XAI, and they're two separate companies, but they're obviously deeply integrated. You can see the same thing happening with WorldCoin and the ChatGPT app. Yeah. That'd be pretty crazy, but I think that makes sense.
Yeah, you could imagine. So here's something I've thought about before. So a lot of people have said, give me the best OpenAI models, unlimited access. One of the challenges there is that you could sort of do that, but then people would build software on top of them where they would just be like querying it and using it for other apps. And so Sam could come out and say, okay, you can use unlimited OpenAI as long as you are periodically doing the sort of like eyeball recognition through the orb or something to that effect, right? So it's like you're actually using the product. You're not just like software, a bot that's just sort of like using up inference on behalf of other applications. So
I want to see the pen testers and the hackers try and beat this thing. I want to see George Hotz jailbreak an orb, because when Face ID came out, people were like, well, if I 3D print my face and then I put it up and I have this mask, like I can still get through, and it's not that big of a deal. People were trying to break it, but obviously like it is a huge vulnerability if it's like, the FBI sees the phone and they're not supposed to be able to get in, but then they can just like 3D print a picture of your face and then hold it up and it verifies.
Yeah, it seems like Apple's gotten pretty good at that.
Yeah, right? It does seem like you don't hear about, the FBI hacked this person's phone by, holding it up. Was there some story about that where they hold it up to someone's face like while they're sleeping or something like that? I feel like that's happened.
The safety mechanism is that your eyes have to be open.
Oh, for Face ID?
I think so.
Okay, interesting.
Let me confirm.
Yeah. Well, it'll be a knockout, drag-out
your
fight.
eyes do
I'm sure it continues. I'm sure there'll be more entertainment. Never a dull moment when Sam Altman and Elon Musk are.
I would like to have. I would like to get. I'd like to have the WorldCoin CEO on the show.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Just have him give the full pitch, because it's clearly compelling.
Yeah,
at a high
it does
level.
feel weird, but it also feels like something that like we could look back on and been like, yeah, that was a novel enough idea that it broke out because it's weird and different. And so I've been
and if I'm traveling in any exotic lands,
you're gonna get scanned. $25 is $25.
$25 is $25. That's a
that's a shish kebab somewhere.
Erewhon.
It's an Erewhon burrito. Yeah.
Yeah, with almost, you could almost get it delivered off.
Almost.
Not overseas. Though.
Almost.
Not overseas. Though.
Almost. Okay, well, should we move on to Palmer Luckey in the Wall Street Journal?
Yeah, who is this guy again?
Palmer Luckey or Tim Higgins, the guy who wrote the show?
Tim Higgins, of
course.
Tim
Higgins.
No, I'm just joking.
Palmer Luckey, they're calling him Donald Trump's original tech bro. He gets his moment in this article. Hit him with a slur
in the title.
Yeah. Technology brother, please.
Trump's original technology brother.
Once an outcast, the Anduril founder's vision for modernizing the government seems possible.
Okay, opening line of this article. Generally, tech bros tend to overestimate their ability to change the world.
I was talking to Solana about this. We're going to have Solana on the show and talk about like the etymology of the tech bro thing. Yeah.
This is a tough thing because we love the journal.
Yeah.
It's overall fantastic. Yeah. But to take such a clear and aggressive shot against our culture in the opening line of what I'm sure got a mention on the front page.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've kind of like retooled and reclaimed this term enough, but it's just very silly because it's such a meaningless term that it really just meant like anyone who's a male in tech was a bro.
Also, if you think about anybody who ever invented anything, a lot of them could be described as like, oh, he was a guy that was into technology.
Yeah.
And there's many more people that sort of overestimated their abilities and came up short and didn't invent this important thing. But we need 100 people to try and only one to be successful in order to sort of move the world forward.
Yeah, like when this came out, I thought the bar for bro should be way, way higher. Like,
what do you mean?
What I mean is that like so there's everyone in tech, and then there's everyone in tech who's male, but though not everyone in tech who's a male is a tech bro. In order to be a tech bro, you have to be actively running a technology company that's like building software or hardware, but then also doing keg stands, chugging Miller Lite, like crushing Nooners, lots of tattoos, lots of days on the lake, like lots of tank tops, lots of push-ups.
Yep.
Like you have to be jacked.
Yeah, like tan. Alexis joined with a tank top.
You could kind of say
and he lives
tech
in
bro.
South Florida.
Yep. Yeah. I would forgive the Journal for calling him a tech bro, but as a term of endearment.
This picture is, he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt. He looks like he's potentially the social chair at the top fraternity at his college.
I think it's really just like up to Palmer. If he wants to be a tech bro and use that, that's fine. But for many years it was used as pejorative. It was used as a slur. It was used to discredit someone. And the reason was because the idea of doing science and doing engineering was antithetical to crushing beers with your absolute boys in the frat house. And so by saying, oh, this person's a bro, it meant that they can't be a serious technologist, when that was clearly proven false.
Yeah.
By Zuck.
The Winklevoss brothers.
Yeah, all these different folks.
Running a top crypto exchange.
yes. So he goes on to write, Palmer's support of Donald Trump in 2016 got him, according to his recounting, booted from liberal Silicon Valley, pushed out of his job at Facebook, and made into a pariah. All that despite the fact that he had sold his virtual reality company Oculus VR to Mark Zuckerberg's social media company for billions and was seen as the OG of VR. I kind of like this rating, actually. It's pretty good. Dejected, he went on to build the next thing, Killer AI. It's a hell of an origin story for Anduril Industries, whose initials spell AI. Lucky named the company after the hero's sword in The Lord of the Rings, a weapon also known as the Flame of the West. In many ways, Lucky wants his weapons company.
And that's just...
What?
It's just one of the best names and stories behind the name in Silicon Valley history.
It's
the
great.
Flame of the West.
Flame of the West.
Incredible.
In doing so, Lucky has become one of the brightest examples of a new wave of ascendant entrepreneurs. They eschew what has made Silicon Valley so powerful, personal gadgets and ad tech, and pour themselves into super hard and sometimes controversial sciences and engineering, as they say, and they say can make America better. Supersonic airplanes, nuclear energy, space travel. These days, Lucky likes to tell his origin story.
Because those examples shouldn't really be why are they controversial? We should have
controversial
airplanes that can go.
I mean, I guess nuclear is a little controversial, but space travel isn't controversial, is it?
I guess it is. There's people that say we shouldn't go to space
because
we
of the firmament stuff.
No. We have problems on
because they're challenging God.
Because
it's an affront to God to try and leave God's green earth.
They say, why are you spending all this money blowing up your rockets in space? We have enough problems on Earth. All those hundreds of millions of dollars.
Also very controversial if you're a flat earther, the space travel stuff. So they might be talking about that. They might be highlighting the fact that flat earthers don't like tech people. Oh, we're going to go to space. And they're like...
doing it over and over again. Making movies about
it. Exactly. These days, Lucky likes to tell his origin story, especially when it become cool for Zuckerberg and other tech leaders to be seen as cozying up to President Trump. Zuckerberg told Congress that Lucky's Facebook departure had nothing to do with politics.
Okay, speaking of Zuckerberg cozying up to the American right wing, he was at the UFC Saturday night, and the stream was really not functioning well.
Really?
And so Dana, like the pay-per-view. So Dana White was streaming from his phone.
Really?
And you could hear, he was just, it was round one. He just had it playing.
Okay.
And you could hear Zuckerberg talking, being like, oh, where are you streaming from right now? What account are you streaming from? Like I think he wanted to go look and like test, like see the quality.
Yeah.
So even during the UFC event, he was founder mode. Wanted to make sure it was during the main event.
That's great.
It's cool.
I love that. All these people have tidied up all of their inconvenient beliefs, Lucky says, which I love. I'm not going to throw it back in their faces and say, oh, yeah, but what about this thing that you did 8 years ago? It's just not productive. Yeah. He said this before. It's good.
One man. That's
a little bit different. That's not really an inconvenient belief. That's like a personal interaction. Yeah. But we don't talk about politics on this show. Better position now. Lucky is clearly trying to take advantage of the moment that Trump's ascent has created, especially with the Elon Musk-led government efficiency effort. Anduril and other high-tech companies are trying to convince the Pentagon that their technologies are part of the solution for a more efficient and modern government than what's offered by the lumbering giants in defense. The core thesis of Anduril is that we are not a defense contractor, Lucky said. We are a defense product company. We put our own money into building things, and we show up not with a PowerPoint, but with a working product. And so the taxpayer isn't taking on the development risk for these products. It's great. The flipped model.
Venture capitalists are.
Makes a lot of sense. Exactly.
And we're grateful for them.
Yep. Lucky was dismissed by tech peers as crude and out of touch. Even now, some in Washington remain unimpressed, but for different reasons. What does this guy know about virtual reality? What does this guy known for virtual reality know about the battlefield? A rival last year called Anduril the Theranos of defense. I think I know who they're talking about, and it's like not a rival at all. It's not like another entrepreneur or business person. It's like a random poster. Yeah. Right. It's not like
an online rival.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But giving them too much credit to say they're a rival.
Yeah.
Also, Theranos, you could give it blood, but it would just sort of not, it couldn't really do much with it.
Yeah.
They've shown that they can actually create products that do, they can blow up a truck.
Yeah.
Which by nature means that Theranos is not the right comparison at all.
It's very silly. Lucky responded on the social media platform X with a photo of his own head superimposed on Elizabeth Holmes' body, a former journalist major, before dropping out to work on Oculus in a camper parked in his parents' home. Lucky understands the power of narrative. Even his name sounds like something out of an Elmore Leonard novel, like he should be a loan shark busting heads in Miami rather than an arms dealer holding court in Mar-a-Lago. He's known for his Hawaiian t-shirts, flip-flops, and goatee, and a willingness to talk about whatever's on his mind, conspiracy theories, video games, management theories, etc. The first time I met Lucky a few years ago, he talked to me with an incredible enthusiasm.
It's also so... I mean, this article is funny because it's making him sound really cool, but at the same time, like clearly is like has a negative bend to it.
Yeah.
Calling him an arms dealer versus a technologist focused on defense.
Exactly.
Comparing him to a loan shark busting heads because his name, based on his name.
Yeah, I don't get that. This person clearly hasn't studied nominative determinism because there's nothing in Palmer Freeman Lucky that says loan shark to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, the first time this writer met Palmer Lucky a few years ago, he talked to me with an incredible enthusiasm about an idea for why people should raise hippos in the swamplands of Louisiana for food. It was something he read about from the 1950s. He said, I've read this book, The American Hippopotamus. It's a fantastic plan. It actually got all the way to Congress. There was a bill proposed to bring hippos to Louisiana, raise them for food. And Palmer's here arguing kind of the same thesis. It was better for land management than grazing cattle on prime real estate elsewhere. Like, you're not going to build a bunch of housing on the bayou. So put the hippos there. They're a little dangerous, but you can fence them in and then it's fine. And he says, Lucky assured me that hippo meat was tasty. It's red meat, though after some prodding, he admitted that he had never tried it. Yeah, because obviously it's hard to get a hand on. Anduril was originally backed by Peter Thiel's Founders Fund and co-founded with Palantir Technology alums, including Democrats.
We should give some background on Founders Fund for anybody that
maybe, for sure.
maybe joined a second ago.
Yeah. Anyone who's living under a rock. It started out as building sensor towers during the first Trump administration to spot people crossing the border illegally. The company evolved to produce robot drones and then robot submarines called Ghost Sharks. The gist is to keep U.S. soldiers out of harm's way. If they all operate with AI, running on a central operating system, Anduril developed to run across its hardware. That's called Lattice, which we've talked about before.
This show actually runs on Lattice.
Just the most
that's our nickname. That should be our new nickname for Ben. Hey, Lattice. Jarvis over here. Pull up this post right now.
The entrepreneur has proven AI has a place in war, and the Ukraine, Russia, and Israel Hamas war show that futuristic ideas are becoming commonplace, changing the face of war and how it will be fought in the years ahead. In January, Anduril announced plans to invest almost $1 billion into a factory in Ohio to build autonomous jet fighters in the U.S. for the Air Force, a contract it won last year. And in February, Anduril said it was taking over Microsoft's $22 billion contract with the U.S. Army to develop augmented reality headsets for the battlefield, a project that marries Lucky's past and present. And I love that. A lot of people are like, oh, what's going to happen there? It's like, he is the perfect person for this. He's like the most qualified person in the world to do VR for the military.
Listen to this line. So he made this announcement. He says, whatever you are imagining, however crazy you imagine I am, multiply it by 10 and then do it again. Lucky wrote, I am back and I'm only getting started.
It is over. We're so back. It's great. I love it. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Anyway, yeah, it's so funny when people come for Palmer as like, oh, he's unqualified for this. It's like, I think he's now like in his 30s. And he spent his entire career in like the most powerful rooms in America, in like high growth companies, doing real work in every industry. He's met every industry player.
The consensus view of the future of warfare is sort of swarms of autonomous, often small hardware devices. Yeah. So maybe you want the guy who built like this super complicated VR product and scaled it to millions of sales. Yeah. Maybe that would be a good guy to
he's like one of the only hardware founders to be successful out of that 2010s batch. Like there were a few others that did okay, smartwatches, scales and stuff, but like, obviously Oculus, fantastic. So we'll have to have him on the show, dig in more, a little bit of a puff piece, a little bit of a just like, little tour of who Palmer is.
I wouldn't call it a puff piece.
Yeah, it's a little
had
bit
a very
of
negative.
It had some negativity, some positivity, but didn't go too deep.
We didn't have to put it too hard in the truth zone.
No. It was a mild truth zone. Anyway,
I'm gonna use the restroom.
Yeah.
Why don't you get started on the next one?
Yeah. We're moving over to DeepSeek. This is an interesting story. So, obviously, DeepSeek blew up and did have an impact on the timeline. A lot of people were following it. And now investors want a piece of DeepSeek. But the founder of DeepSeek says not now. This is from the Wall Street Journal, March 10th. The founder of Chinese artificial intelligence star DeepSeek, which of course spun out of that hedge fund we talked about, has rejected proposals to make quick money from his programs, telling prospective investors that he wants to keep the science project ethos that brought him to global renown. Overwhelmed by millions of users, DeepSeek's chatbot has frequent service hiccups, and authorities around the world are restricting its use over data security concerns. The U.S. is weighing measures including banning DeepSeek from government devices, which of course makes sense because if you're using DeepSeek as an open source LLM that you're self-hosting, you're not sending data there. There's still the question of, is there some sort of Manchurian candidate deep inside the weights? But that's kind of, science fiction right now. But if you're using the DeepSeek app, literally every query, everything that you put into that chat box is going to DeepSeek, which of course is a Chinese company and ultimately responsible to the CCP potentially. And so he is also cautious about government-linked investors, they said, because he believes the connection to Beijing could make it harder to win global adoption of DeepSeek's AI models. Liang Wenfeng has told associates that he isn't in a hurry to get investment. The Chinese company made a global splash earlier this year with its free-to-use open-source AI models. It was the moment DeepSeek had aimed for since Liang's band of AI researchers began their quest 2 years ago with words they attributed to French director Francois Truffaut. Be insanely ambitious and insanely sincere. Interesting. It's
interesting. So I'm just pulling this up. Yeah. It was my first thought was DeepSeek is number 20 in productivity right now. Yeah. Grok is 31.
31.
So
how's
Grok
Jimmy John's doing?
Jimmy John's, I don't believe is in the productivity category. Jimmy John's App Store.
If you weren't following the App Store last week, the top 3 apps were ChatGPT, Jimmy John's, and Hallow.
Yeah,
a prayer app.
Big week.
So you really get to choose your God. You get to choose your AI God, your Christian God, or your sandwich God.
So Jimmy John's is taking an absolute tumble. They're at 46 in food and drink, so nowhere near.
That's terrible.
Not even in the game anymore. They're gonna have to come out with a new sandwich.
Yeah, get some refer a friend going on there.
Or they could say, hey, if you can prove you're a human, you can get a $25 gift card to Jimmy John's.
should do what Nikita does, where you go to get your sandwich, you check out, and then afterwards it says like, hey, do you want to know what the sandwich artist that made your sandwich thinks about you? And then you click $5 and it unlocks. It's like, yeah, they thought you were kind of rude.
Or they thought you were kind of rude.
Oh, they actually thought you were really nice and you tipped really well.
They thought you were dripped out.
They thought you were dripped out. Exactly. Yeah. Pay to unlock a compliment.
It's a cure to male loneliness.
This might actually be a good idea. I think we got to get Nikita on the line and pitch it to him, and then pitch it to Jimmy John himself. Who also should come on the show. Liang was invited to a who's who list of Chinese executives who met leader Xi Jinping on February 17th, and his success has prompted a gushing of patriotism in China. This is something we should copy. I feel like if you invent a viral app or a cool foundation model, let's get you in the White House, shake the president's hand, the whole tour. They
do the same if you are an athlete and you do something remotely.
Yeah. They always invite the winning Super Bowl team, Presidential Medal of Freedom. If you build a ChatGPT wrapper that just
we
goes
need the
crazy,
Medal of Innovation.
Yes, exactly.
And the Medal of Slop.
Yeah. The Worker 17 guys from YC. Get him in the White House, shaking hands.
Yeah.
How you doing with that Dom Perignon over there? Why don't you polish that off? I'll refill. The state-owned Bank of China has offered to grant...
That was just John not wanting to
just
two
double down.
I had one.
The state-owned Bank of China has offered to grant a low-interest loan to the company. People familiar with discussions said. In recent weeks, executives from Chinese technology companies, including Tencent and Alibaba, have met Liang to discuss potential cooperation. I'm sure they want a stake of this company. Said for people familiar with the companies, those people said Liang didn't want to charge for DeepSeek's core AI models, which are currently free.
If your model's so good, why don't you?
Why are you
afraid to charge money for it?
The startup published techniques it's used to train its AI models using downgraded chip NVIDIA designed for China. It aims to release its next
allegedly
model,
downgraded,
designed for solving complex problems as early as April. So stay tuned for DeepSeek V4 probably. We'll see if that's a bigger model. Be interesting to follow. Rise of the High Flyer, Liang, born in 1985. We already did a deep dive on this guy. You can go find it on the channel. But founded a hedge fund known in English as High Flyer in 2015. Its Chinese name alludes to an ancient Han Dynasty diagram with a magic square, a mathematical peculiarity in which the rows, columns, and diagonals of the square all add up to the same number, going Sudoku mode. Sudoku vibes. I like it. Liang was proud that Chinese sages discovered the concept long before the West, said people who know him. In its hiring advertisements, High Flyer sounded more like a technology firm than a hedge fund. This is pretty common with what's going on with Jane Street and Citadel. It even tried to put the word technologies in its name before regulators said no.
I mean, that's cool.
It looked for people who had won math contests. We've seen this happen in America before with the IMO gold medalists all going to work for RAMP. The fund promised as much as $270,000 a year for AI engineers at a campus event in 2020. To support their AI ambitions, Liang and his team used the profits from the hedge fund, which charged the same type of hefty fees as U.S. hedge funds do, so probably 2 and 20 or more. Liang's quant fund significantly outperformed the market between 2015 and 2020, sometimes scoring returns that were 20 to 50 percentage points more than stock market benchmarks. In 2021, High Flyer
that's your quant. You're doing pretty well.
Yeah, had 14 billion. You want to keep reading?
I'll keep reading. Where do you end off?
In 2021, High Flyer's assets under management.
In 2021, High Flyer Technologies' assets under management reached around $14 billion, according to people familiar with the matter. But the fund's performance soon faded. By late 2021, when dozens of High Flyer's products were down by more than 10% from their recent peak, the company apologized to its investors for its performance. One of its flagship funds lost money in both 2022 and 2023, although it beat the benchmark index it was supposed to track. 2 years ago, High Flyer largely closed itself to new investors and started in mid-2024 to encourage some investors to redeem their investments. They're like, we have such a good short position that we're building. We would like you to just sort of take out your money and just let us just like reap the... by the end of last year,
but
it's such a funny thing.
A lot of hedge funds have done this.
I know.
Jane Street doesn't have any outside capital, I believe, and a lot of other funds have kind of moved towards less and less LPs if they can.
By the end of last year, Highflyer's assets under management had shrunk significantly. To me, this looks like, one reason is that you just don't want sort of outside scrutiny into what you're doing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Saying,
I don't want more leaks. Newcomers going to get your returns as soon as you get an LP who has a subscription.
Yeah, that's right.
And you can't have that happening. And also just regulation, because there's just more people that can sue you for saying, hey, what you did was not meeting your fiduciary responsibilities.
Yeah.
And then, of course, once you have so many investors, of course, you might need to go public or something.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different
So
things.
in mid-2023, the fund announced a strategic shift and created DeepSeek as an independent organization. Highflyer put almost all its revenue from the quant fund business into AI development, according to the company's posts on Chinese social media. Highflyer said it would devote itself fully to AI technology that serves the common good of all mankind. Sounds like it was written by the CCP. DeepSeek's AI models are generally free, although it does offer. So, yeah, they just care about the good of humanity.
Purely.
Its problem is handling the traffic surge. So they're struggling to handle the traffic, but they don't want investment. They'll just take the ultra low interest rate loan from the Bank of China. Not conflicted at all. They're just in it for humanity. Okay. Like it's just about humanity. They want to keep the models free.
Yep.
Just free models for everyone.
Just working with the government.
We're going to lever up.
Yep.
We're going to take low interest rates from the
Bank of China.
Bank of the CCP.
Yep. Just one board member, Xi Jinping. That's it.
Yeah. To lessen the overload on its servers, DeepSeek has been offering deep discounts to paying customers who use its services in the early morning. So you can get Temu DeepSeek credits if you're using it at the right hours. So some Chinese tech giants such as Tencent are testing DeepSeek to power features, including a search engine of Tencent's messaging and payment app. They don't have to pay DeepSeek to do so. Tencent users can opt for a chatbot that is powered by DeepSeek but uses Tencent's own more stable computer network. So since late 2023, DeepSeek pitched itself to several venture capital firms, including some foreign firms. This is a great strategy, by the way. Say you're not raising, say you don't want money, but then go raise. It creates this dynamic that can really get people to FOMO in. Apparently, the foreign firms declined to invest because they couldn't see a clear path to recouping their money. It's never stopped a Western capital allocator from investing before. To be clear, OpenAI's like you didn't they come out with some like prospectus that was like at a certain point when you're raising tens of billions of dollars, you basically have to tell people like we see no realistic path to like recouping this investment.
Just like safe harbor stuff.
Yeah, safe harbor stuff.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think the projections are pretty aggressive, but yeah.
Yeah. No, it's we're gonna lose money, and then we will be the only profit center in the entire world.
Basically, yeah.
Good strategy. So anyways, he says for now, that's it. He says for now, Liang appears to be sticking to the vision he expressed in a rare interview in 2023. We don't do applications, we just do research and exploration. He said then.
I mean, I think the real way to like kind of understand what's actually going on with DeepSeek is like you have to benchmark its app store performance as you just did. They're at 47, 42, something like that.
No, 21.
21. You have to benchmark that against what happened with TikTok. I'm sure TikTok was number one in the app store for a little bit and then dropped down. But the question is like, will it regain momentum and will it continue to become dominant? And will there be some sort of economy or durable growth engine? Like we saw with TikTok, there were a series of growth strategies that really drove it into the significant penetration of the Western market. And that was first and foremost, a unique feature. You could not make a lip sync video with like IP protected music very easily on Instagram or Snapchat. Yeah. And so you would download, just like you downloaded Instagram to do photo filters, and then it happened, every photo that you filtered, it would happen to post, and then you would share that photo elsewhere maybe. You would save it to your camera roll and share it elsewhere, maybe upload it on Facebook, but it was shared to the social network. Same thing happened with TikTok. Then it became Okay, well, now they're advertising on Facebook and Snapchat very aggressively, bringing in new users.
Yeah.
And then finally, they created the Creator Fund. And so all of a sudden, the Power Law creators on TikTok had jobs, had like businesses. And so you had people like Charlie D'Amelio, and there were a whole ton of these creators that would get a slice based on how much traffic and how many views they were getting. They were getting tons of views. They weren't getting paid a ton, but they were making enough to justify quitting their jobs and going all in on content and making sure that, and then also just creating the dream of this new American dream of like, if you have an idea or you're good at dancing or you're hot or you have anything going on, you can get on TikTok. If you go viral enough times, you will start getting checks.
Or you're a corporate athlete. You remember that guy?
Yes,
this was
that guy
one
crushed.
Of the first probably creators that we sort of like
really resonated
We
with.
thought it was more funny than I think anyone else did. I know. What's the guy's name?
I have no idea. I never remember the name of a short form creator ever.
Yeah, it's this weird
podcaster.
Thing, if the only thing you remember their bit.
Yep,
it's this guy who would he would wake up and he'd be like running and he'd be like,
lock in.
It's another
folks,
day today.
No, I know exactly who you're talking about. I don't remember his name because it was just like so ethereal. It's very much like TikTok and the short form stuff is very much like bathroom graffiti. It's like everyone sees it, no one remembers it.
Yeah,
it's just like high traffic, but it doesn't like make a statement. As opposed to a 2-hour Christopher Nolan film like leaves an impression on people. Even if less people see it, it has like a profound effect.
Or a really good TED Talk.
We looked at
the data. We talked to the experts.
The Sam Hyde TED Talk is very memorable. It's one of the greatest comedy bits of all time. Like it's very, very funny. Anyway, should we do car technology driving people crazy, or should we move on to the timeline? What do you think, Jordy?
I'm down to hit this, and then let's get into the timeline.
Okay, yeah. So, we're car people here. We like talking cars. We like talking trends in cars. We're big advocates for the next Tesla Roadster having a naturally aspirated V8 with a gated manual shifter. We're willing it. We're going to make it happen. We're going to have Elon on the show eventually, and we're going to confront him about that, recommend it to him. And I think we have a winner on our hands if he can get that across the line. There's been a lot of talk about, Tesla's
down 36% the last month.
How do you get back?
Gated manual.
V12. Exactly. Anyway, door handles used to be simple. Now they are another piece of technology that can fail. Drivers are finding that they wish the smart technology in their cars was just a bit dumber. Automakers have added new features in 2020s that go beyond touchscreens, assisted driving systems, and companion phone apps. Some vehicles come with infrared night vision, some seasonal ambient lighting, and interior fan cams that show rear passengers. That's obviously for kids, but many drivers say it's too much. The share that had positive feelings about intuitiveness of their car controls fell from 79% in 2015 to 56% in 2024.
The perfect car was the Porsche 911, the 997 generation manual. You sit inside. It's relatively high performance vehicle. It's not a track star or anything like that, but it's sporty, it's fun. It's not, there's nothing over the top or anything like that. Everything is just like ultra utilitarian. Everything's super solid. You can leave it in the sun forever. Nothing's going to happen to the seats. It's a perfect car. And today you have a situation where I actually have a funny story about that. I bought the car on Bring a Trailer in 2021, sold it at a profit like a couple years later, but took ETH for it.
Oh, really?
I had a buddy who was like, "Would you can I buy it with ETH?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, fine." ETH dropped like 20%. So I basically round trip back to the original purchase price. But to compare that to today, the one of the most annoying, the most annoying thing about my cars are the smart features. So the G63, there's this feature where when I turn it on, it automatically has the lane keeping assist, they call it, which you have to manually turn off every single time, which is like a small.
That's so weird. Normally you have to turn it on.
No, it's default on, and it is a truly terrible feature. You're driving, and I drive. I'm in Malibu, so to get out of Malibu, I have to take these sort of
canyons.
1 or 2 lane, canyon roads. And so if you go slightly off of the road, it breaks one of the wheel. It's this very weird experience where it just sort of has this braking effect that just slams you back onto the road, and it's the most jarring experience. It's never when you actually would want it. And then the other thing is you have to turn off the thing that shuts the engine off when you're at a stoplight. And that's like, you know about this.
So
this
annoying.
Is like the EPA rules where new cars have to have this feature.
Also, if you put your car in sport mode, now the EPA requires that when you start the car, it starts in eco mode or like comfort mode. It can't start in the most
you used to be able to start a 911 in sport mode.
In sport mode and just leave it at that dial.
We used to be a proper country.
We used to be a proper country. I think the real sad thing here is that, you know, a lot of the premium features have trickled down. You know, you get like heated and cooled seats in like a Hyundai these days, but some of the really important features have not trickled down. I'm talking about, you know,
doors that go up.
Doors that go up. That should be standard.
That should be standard. In
also,
a Hyundai.
The champagne fridge in the back of the Rolls Royce with the champagne flute thing that grabs them, so that as you're going around a corner, your champagne flute doesn't fall over. This should be available in a Honda Civic.
Balance it on
and for some reason, it hasn't made it. But yeah,
just totally ignoring customer demands.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Anyway, people are having problems with battery electric vehicles. Owners of EVs reported their door handles being difficult to open at a rate of 3.1 problems per 100 vehicles, up from 0.2.
So bad.
It's like your door should always open, unless you have a G-Wagon. Well, then it's hard to close, right? It's not hard to open.
Yeah.
That's the real tell.
The real tell is if anybody has spent time in LA, is if they know how to close a G-Wagon door.
For those who haven't done it, you have to really slam it. You have to
guys
really
out there, you know, if she knows how to close a G-Wagon door, just focus
on yourself. Focus on yourself. We've changed door handles from being a problem-free experience to now they pop out whenever the owner approaches, and we're seeing all these problems. Yeah. All good reasons.
Yeah, this is super annoying. I walk out of my garage.
Yeah.
And my my 911 just like completely like turns on. Like it throws the lights on. It throws like the handle open. I'm like, I'm just grabbing the mail.
Yeah.
Like, relax.
It just knows you're there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
And this is the same thing with smart homes today where I have yesterday.
Yeah.
I hit the remote for my blinds in my kitchen and it didn't move. Yeah. I'm like, oh great. I'm pressing it again. I'm like playing around with the remote.
Yeah.
I finally like walked like close to it and it worked. But I was like, my blinds were just going to be down until I could find somebody that like specializes in smart homes to just come over and like figure out what's broken. And I'm like, that's so annoying versus just like going, like, I think I'm very bullish on this sort of analog home experience of like, you know, you flip a switch, you have a, you know, something that doesn't need batteries that you can like change the heater, you know, I don't need a remote for my fireplace, right? It's not like I'm not in my bedroom being like, oh, I really want to like, you know, turn on my fireplace. Like there's something beautiful about analog products.
Yeah. This is somewhat of a boomer take, but I think that there is something real about like technology introducing more friction over time, and it's been captured in some sci-fi. Like I don't know if you've seen, well, you probably haven't seen Fifth Element or Demolition Man, but they both paint a picture of the future where basically like all the smart features are like very inconvenient. And so Sylvester Stallone is like in Demolition Man getting like fined every time he swears, and there's like he can't get like salt or anything like that. Yeah, actually we'd be bullish on that.
Except it would get boring quickly.
And then in Fifth Element, he lives in this like pod, and it like deploys like you have 3 points left. It's like a super connected world, and like he's like trying to quit smoking, and it gives him like one cigarette out of this like disposer and stuff. It's very funny. Anyway, great movies. You should see a film sometime, Jordy.
I'll watch one.
You should watch a movie for your first movie. That would be big for you.
I have been enjoying the new White Lotus.
Oh yeah, I'm caught up.
Very cliche to watch, but
it's just enjoyable to watch.
Everybody was like, okay, the first few episodes were boring.
Yeah.
And then last night's really got deranged. It you know, the dad is developing this sort of like drug addiction, and like, the mom is also, you know, and it's just all like, you can tell it's just like starting to fully unwind.
Yeah. I find that like somebody was asking me like, oh, like was it a good episode? And I was kind of
like, you mean just starting in the middle?
Oh no,
no, saying like your favorite?
No. Like so.
Yeah,
like,
the really
so
deranged way to watch White Lotus.
Just watch random episodes. No, like because I hadn't watched any, and then I was in Tahoe and had some free time away from kids, so I catch up. I watched the first 3, then episode 4 premieres. I watch it, and a friend asks me, "How is episode 4?" And I say, like, "Oh, I thought it was great. Like, it's the same as all of them. Like, does anything happen?" Because people are saying like it's a little slow, and I was like, it kind of happens at the same rate in every episode, but more importantly, it's just such a lovely place to like hang out. It's like beautiful. It's intriguing. It's chaotic. There's like all these little vignettes. Like I don't need there to be like some really major plot point. Like I could just watch it for
that's why Succession was such a hit, is because it was allowing people to be immersed in your everyday lifestyle.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyways,
I mean, White Lotus is like basically about the Amon, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like
the Amon hasn't actually. Yeah, they haven't actually done it at an Amon.
Yeah, they've done it at 4 seasons, I think.
It's that level of.
But that's like the vibe, and so it's a very funny like way to poke fun. The guy who wrote White Lotus actually went to my high school, Mike White.
Very cool.
Yeah, we should have him on. Talk about
that'd be cool.
The business of White Lotus.
Did you guys overlap?
No, come on. He's like 50 now or something.
Okay.
Like this guy's like a Hollywood legend. Like he's not young.
Okay.
I know you think I'm old, but I'm not that old. Come on. I mean,
all right.
He directed School of Rock, which a film I'm sure you haven't seen, but came out in like mid 2000s. You know, like,
I've seen School of Rock.
You've seen School of Rock?
That's a class.
Yeah, the teacher in there based on my Latin teacher.
Actually, so really,
that's
cool.
Legend.
I would go to rock band camp every summer.
Yeah,
and it was basically that.
What'd you play?
I would guitar and I would sing.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Can you blast like a lick on the guitar if we had like an electric guitar here? Because we've been talking about soundboard. Maybe we just get you a guitar and like whenever we want a sound effect,
moment. Well, I could actually have it just strapped up always here and just be
just like when a founder comes on and they were interviewing them and you just want to play I have the size gong. I play the gong on this show. You play the guitar.
I had one moment that I'll always remember. We do this rock band camp and there's all this prep, and then at the end of the summer you play this like live performance for all of your extended, all the other kids in camp and all this stuff with your band of 5 people. And our lead singer, I was a backup singer, our lead singer didn't show up for the performance, like got cold feet.
So you just had
to, it was this big group, and I had to like go founder mode for the band. Nice. Just like I had to sing it, but it was it was like a foreign person singing like Western karaoke, where it was just like the right sounds, but like didn't quite. I just like didn't. Oof. I didn't. It was like 5 minutes beforehand that I had to figure this out. But
oh well, yeah. I think we need a guitar on.
No, I've been playing a lot of. Like dinosaur themed renditions of like picture like John Mayer meets dinosaurs, playing it for my son.
Yeah, that's great.
They've been hits.
Do you know enough like power chords just to like jam and it sounds like vaguely like Blink-182 or something like that?
Yeah.
You know how you know like the basic and then you can just like work it together. That's great. Like the Suzuki method, more or less.
Yeah.
I play piano, but I only learned like how to play like the sheet music, so I need to see.
Well, you got too into the symphony, so for you it was more euphoric to just be immersed in it versus to even play the notes yourself.
Exactly.
You could have been a conductor.
Great. I mean, I named my dog after a conductor, Gustavo Dudamel.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great lore.
His Instagram handle is real Gustavo Dudamel. It's great.
Yeah.
And people get confused often.
John's dog had more followers
and the conductor
than me.
He used to be the conductor of the LFL, Gustavo Dudamel, is aware of the dog. Because people will see the dog, because the dog has like almost as many followers as the actual conductor. Because I grinded up the account to like 20K, and the conductor had like 100 at the time, and so like people would like let him know, and we were all in LA, so we'd run into people and be like, "Oh yeah, like that's the dog."
Would he ever say,
I'm friends with the conductor?
Dog? Yeah. Would he ever say? Would he ever say, I'd love to have your dog Gustavo in attendance?
Yes. We considered bringing him. We had season tickets for a while. We got to go back. It's right down the street from the capital of capital, the fortress of finance, Disney Hall.
I think we both came to the conclusion that that's
the next boys trip.
This article is not that interesting.
It's not that interesting. I agree. Anyway, let's move on to some posts,
some
timeline, and some ads. Of course, I know that's what you've really been waiting for. The advertisements. Just because it's a Dom episode doesn't mean we're not going to do some ads. Come on, people. Tyler says, this is a really deep understanding how VC works tweet. The headline is Cursor raises hundreds of millions at 10 billion. Are these investors visionary or crazy? That is because we intuitively assume that those investors lose money if Cursor is ultimately worth less than 10 billion. But that's not true. They just don't make money. To get to the point where investors actually lose money, the company's valuation needs to fall below the amount raised. So if you're investing in this round, here are your outcomes. Cursor exits at greater than 10 billion, you make money. Cursor exits at greater than 300 million to 10 billion, you get your money back. Cursor exits at under 300 million, you lose your money. From a decision-making perspective, that changes the discussion from is this worth 10 billion to what is the likelihood that this is worth 20 to 50 billion in a few years? And to be clear, that's good. I think it's a very good thing for us to have risk capital that is both clear-eyed and focused on the potential for growth. And then there's some assumptions here. What do you think, Jordy? Why'd you like this? It's a good breakdown of the Cursor deal. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people know about Press, but you can break it down.
Founders understand this because they've run the calculus where they're like, Jeremy was on last week and was talking about this.
They don't usually run the calculus until Series A or B.
Yeah.
I find.
No, but they intuitively understand, okay, you raised $10 million.
You got to return that first.
For $10 million, you're going to make $0.
Yep.
And Jeremy talked about this last week, talking about founders that have 10 million of ARR, but they raised $200 million and they're growing at 30%, which means that they could grow for another 5 years, sell the company, and still make $0, right?
Unless you get really creative. Like there are plenty of stories with acqui-hires where the investors get hosed and the founders get really egregious pay packages at big companies. And a lot of funds are really upset by that. Depending on their structure, some funds don't care because they're like, we wrote down 10 million, whatever. Yeah. Like we're just happy for you to go on to the next thing. Call us when you leave and get your earn out and do the next thing.
Yeah. Make it all back on one trade.
But it's delicate. It is risky and you
usually I would say it's the employees that are most frustrated by that because they're
depends on the structure of the earn out.
Well, sure, but I'm just saying I know a situation of a very high profile company that sold in 2021. Mm-hmm. And the price of the acquisition was like way too low for the traction of the company. Yep. But the CEO got this like ridiculously large like incentive package at the new company, and all the CEOs like didn't even get
all the employees.
Most of the employees didn't get the opportunity to join the acquirer. And so they were frustrated because they're like, we worked all this time for this equity, and then you are the only one that got the.
Everyone just has to feel like it's fair.
Yeah,
and there are. But
I thought this was worth. I thought this was worth highlighting. Of people like everybody's trying to pick apart. Oh, is Cursor's revenue durable? It's so easy to switch off. You've got YC partners like promoting windsurf.
Sure.
All this stuff. And this is the right framework to be, it sounds like Thrive and Kushner are doing this new round. It hasn't been formally announced yet, but it's not so crazy to price it that way. And it's possible that Cursor, I would imagine Cursor's in a position where they don't need money. So they're saying, if you want to own a piece of this company,
you got to pay.
This is the case. Yep. And if you're investing in this company and you think you could get a 2 or 3x on this, if you're putting in $300 million, it's not necessarily a slam dunk grand slam venture return, but you're going to return potentially hundreds of millions of dollars off of a single investment. And and your downside is relatively protected if you think that Cursor in a bear case scenario could sell for $300 million. And I would argue that there's a lot of companies on earth that even if Cursor's revenue dropped dramatically, they would say, we'll pay $300 million because you have great tech and we can integrate it.
You want a new GitHub Copilot 2.0, basically.
So,
that's very interesting. I mean, there's a bunch of scenarios where it could work out. If they're just printing money and they just keep growing the business and they get to high EBITDA, like they could trade at, 10x EBITDA and get up to, a couple $100 million in EBITDA and be good. Yeah. Right. It's not that crazy. And then, also every hyperscaler might need something that looks like this if they're doing a lot of development or running a, you think like this could fit into AWS and the AWS tech stack. It could replace GitHub and be GitHub 2.0 or Copilot 2.0. I don't know. It's certainly a high valuation, but exciting for the team that built it and very cool.
We won't know the truth And
I mean,
unless
it
we have
feels
the
like a
fullness of time.
Size Gong moment.
Size Gong moment. Let's give a cheers for the Cursor team.
Cheers. Let's down this, Jordy. Come on.
Down it? I don't know.
I'm
going to keep nursing it here.
The brother. Well, let's go to Flo.
Peer pressure.
Do it.
Great.
Flo Crivelio says, just bought 50,000 flower seeds on Amazon and going to throw them all over the place in San Francisco. Just a heads up, in case you're wondering why everything is suddenly so fragrant and beautiful, it'll be me. It'll be all me.
Amazing. I put this in for you, John. This is very Coogan coded.
Totally.
This is what you live for.
Yes.
We want to elevate people that are making the world a more beautiful place, whether you are putting flowers everywhere or putting up swings everywhere.
Yes.
Go repave the road.
Yeah.
If you're upset with the road in front of your house, just hire private contractors to pave it. Do it yourself.
Just get some cement out there. Do it. No, yeah. I think smell is underrated in terms of the evaluation of a particular neighborhood. I've noticed that Beverly Hills smells very nice, but deafening noise pollution from all the Lamborghinis and M5 competitions.
You might have something to do with that.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of kids clearly driving like exorbitant sports cars.
Yeah, it's their daily driver to school, the GT3 RS.
And I do think, I mean, we were talking about the EPA earlier. Maybe we do need, some quiet modes.
Yeah, but if you can put up enough flowers on either side of the road and
deafen that
do
down.
GMO flowers to get them the size of trees,
that'd be great.
They could really dampen.
Yeah. Or maybe just upgrade from the Aventadors and the Huracans to 918 Spiders because it's a hybrid. You can drive it in electric only mode. That's great. A lot of the new hypercars, supercars, they have an electric drivetrain. So they're hybrids. So you can drive them quietly until you get up into the canyons. Nobody cares. Yeah. Then you can rip.
Thank you, Flo, for your work.
Thank you, Flo. I'm excited to see how that pans out. Visit SF and see the flowers. Let's go to Kyle Harrison with some news. Service Titan is at a $7.95 billion market cap. This is an $8 billion company that started as software for garage door repair people. TAM is almost always a terrible reason to pass.
So, little lore for you.
Yeah.
In college, I wanted to move to LA.
Sure.
I was working on what became my first, company, and I was barely making money at the time. I was making like a couple grand a month, and it was like senior year. I was like, I don't know if I can actually sort of scale this to the point where I can like pay for rent and food and all this stuff. So I interviewed at Service Titan. First interview went well. Second interview, thought it went well. They rejected me. And I'm sure I would have done actually very well if obviously I wouldn't have stayed
in the wage cage.
In the wage cage. No, just financially. Just financially, if I just stayed there.
Yeah.
But I won in the end because that turned, what I was working on turned into a business that, does millions of dollars in revenue to this day. So, your loss, Service Titan.
Yeah.
But
Great name, though.
I'm glad they are building, great software for garage door repair people.
And I believe they're in LA here.
They are. They're in Glendale.
Yeah.
So right around the corner from
here. And great name. Like really aggressive name. I love it. Anyway, let's move on to an ad. We got an ad from AdQuick. Out-of-home advertising made easy and measurable. Say goodbye to the headaches of out-of-home advertising. Only AdQuick combines technology, out-of-home expertise, and data to enable efficient, seamless ad buying across the globe. Let's go. Get yourself a billboard on AdQuick.
Okay, so speaking of ads.
Company,
Ted Turner, founder of CNN, started by running his father's out-of-home ad business. It was basically like AdQuick, but they owned... Easy there, John. But instead of AdQuick doesn't own the underlying inventory. There's a sort of software layer on top of it. But Ted Turner's dad had started an out-of-home advertising network that Ted Turner took over. Cool. And the reason I know that is because I was listening to the Founders Podcast episode this morning because Reggie posted about Ted Turner on Friday. And Reggie had said, and this post analysis is brought to you by AdQuick, obviously. Yes. He said, I've been researching the 80s a bit as a comparison for viewing the world today. I feel like Ted Turner is such an interesting character, founder of CNN, which was the start of the 24/7 news cycle. We restarted it for tech.
Yes.
Genuinely a futurist in many ways. My favorite quote from him: "We won't be signing off until the world ends. We'll be on, and we will cover the end of the world live, and that will be our last event." But the thing is, he actually made a video made for the last broadcast ever, known as the Turner Doomsday video. It was leaked by an intern and posted on YouTube.
That's amazing. We got to watch that on the stream.
We should make our own Doomsday video.
We should.
And it's just us popping hundreds of bottles. Not even drinking them, just saying, hey, we had the stockpile.
It's the Doomsday.
We don't need it anymore.
Yeah, what an interesting thinker to do that. I wonder if there's anyone else who's filmed a Doomsday video in tech that hasn't leaked. Like, is there a Zuck Doomsday video or an Elon Doomsday video or Sam Altman Doomsday video that's out there?
Brothers,
if you're an intern,
go leak it.
Go find it and leak it. Put it on YouTube, please.
Yeah.
We'll
cover your cost of living until you can get rehired by, the next billionaire that you're going to leak their Doomsday video.
That's great. Let's move on to Antonio Garcia Martinez, the hardest to acquire and most exclusive watch in the collection, almost 3 years in the making. And it says, thank you for being a part of the base team. This custom Seiko watch designed by our creative team honors precision, reliability, and motion, qualities that define base and drive us forward. Its automatic movement winds with every step, a symbol of the momentum we're building together. Here's to the work we've done. And to 2025, it's time to bring the world on chain.
That's great.
I love it.
Inspired by... Do we still have?
Oh, the XL watch?
That said it's time to...
Oh, it's time to create shareholder value.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's time to bring the world on chain. Yeah. A timepiece is great.
No, I was wondering...
Underrated merch, for sure.
we got to ask Quaid at Bezel, was this factory or is this they just bought it and then they just redid?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you can swap out the dial and just kind of upgrade that. But of course, go to getbezel.com, get a luxury watch, get a Seiko, get a Grand Seiko, get anything. Get an FP joint.
We've been looking at Patek chronograph stopwatches.
Oh yeah,
because we want
to time the show.
We want to time the show, and just looking at your computer clock.
Over 20,000 luxury watches, fully authenticated by Bezel's in-house team. Highly recommend installing the app, surfing, finding something great to add to your collection. In Tahoe this weekend, saw a lot of Apple Watches. It really, really harshed the mood, I would say.
Yeah,
it would be much better to see something more fitting of that echelon of society.
If you're skiing too, wear your nicest watch.
What do you need an Apple Watch for?
When I was in Switzerland just before New Year's, I saw a guy that was just got back from skiing and he took off his gloves and he had like this I think it was the orange Aquanaut.
Oh, nice.
That Alex Karp rocks, and I was like, that's great. Go out skiing.
I love it.
With a 6-figure watch on, shows confidence in your abilities.
It's great. Where is this second post? We got a lot of posts in here. We got to go through. Let's just do this one. Mount Rushmore at sunset. Let's go. I just wanted to celebrate
Mount Rushmore at sunset.
Here we go. I got it.
Is this a real picture? It almost looks
AI
generated.
It is.
Do you have this one, Ben?
But we got it. We got to make a new Mount Rushmore. We got to need more monuments.
Where's your
do,
Rushmore?
We got to do Statue of Liberty on the East Coast. What was it? Statue of Justice on the West Coast. Replace Alcatraz with a massive statue. I love Mount Rushmore.
You've been?
Beautiful. I haven't been.
We should go.
We should
set up. So I'd really like to get a mobile studio, but like set up more like one of those phone booths where the truck like drops it off and then leaves. So we're just sitting there right in front of Mount Rushmore, recording with a nice view of it.
Be great.
And if the police come, we'll just lock the doors and just keep podcasting as long as we have an internet connection.
Yeah. I mean, just so cool to go blow up some mountains and make some faces. So much fun. Anyway, the story that I want to talk about was Orca. Orca is an energy water launched by this guy, Michael Moriarty. 13 months ago, he put up this idea and it's now live and available. 150 milligrams of caffeine, 0 calories, 0 sugar. And he posted 13 months, 4 failed production runs, and more stress than we ever imagined, all for the clear can. Worth it? ? And gift of trees.
And so to be clear, we covered this last week.
Yep. Last week we did?
Remember, this is launch video of the guy from High School Musical that was just reading out the signs.
Very creative.
It's very fun.
But he's getting dunked on here by Gift of Trees of Draught of Barrel. Doesn't sound like that person has a LinkedIn, but we'll read it anyway. The clear plastic PET beverage can patent was granted in 2015 to a Polish packaging manufacturing company. This dude did nothing but pay a beverage contract packer to license the patent and fill it with liquid designed in the co-packer's lab. And yes, that is exactly true. That's how you launch a new consumer packaged goods product these days. You go to a co-packer, have them make it. He made the interesting choice of using the clear plastic can, which I want to talk to you about because on the one hand, this really does stand out on the shelf, and you could imagine seeing this and it would just look different than Celsius, Red Bull, Monster, where they're all aluminum cans. But at the same time, plastic could not be less cool right now. So what's your take?
So I've seen Michael working on this for a long time.
Yeah.
I think he's got good instinct and taste. I think the marketing's been great. I think the packaging looks cool. I think the concept of just a clear-ish energy water, like conceptually is just cool.
As opposed to like this, like,
and I do believe
looking Red Bull that's like green and like, it's like, what am I drinking?
So energy water is super cool.
Yep.
I do believe the actual formulation is difficult to get to the point where it's 0 calorie and it tastes good and it's not filled with a bunch of insane additives.
Yep.
I looked at this entire thread, Gift of Trees of Draught of Barrel by Intractable Lion.
Yes.
And he's a massive hater against people that are not. So I actually looked at the backstory. So runs cideries where he restores. So he restores these sort of legacy orchards that have been run down,
like,
and he and his wife. So it's like the most craft process, not even making the liquid, but
making the barrels,
making the trees, and sustaining the orchard. So he's
the Gift of Trees and Draught of Barrel, of course.
The Gift of Trees and Draught of Barrel. So I'd like to have this guy on the show to talk about the business of bespoke cidery.
That sounds interesting.
But he's a huge hater on this guy, Michael, for no reason.
Yes, I agree.
Michael didn't say, I invented the clear plastic.
No.
He said, if you're making a caffeine has a super bitter taste.
Totally. Yeah, you have to iterate on stuff.
You've got to iterate on it. Yeah, it's a good thing that they didn't just use the first version that they produced. And so this is actually a much longer thread where Gift of Trees of Draught of Barrel is just hating on this guy super hard. And
It's like, just don't buy it.
Yeah, just don't buy it.
It's fine. You don't have to buy it. That's the beauty of capitalism.
I think that Michael will be dramatically more commercially successful, and Gift of Trees of Draught of Barrel is upset.
I don't know about that. Is this really a long-short trade right now? Who knows? Maybe they both are successful.
I'm going long.
Orca.
I would not invest in Gift of Trees of Draught of Barrel.
I don't know, man. I think there might be something to this. If he scales this up, maybe he starts putting the cider in plastic bottles.
Yeah, maybe. Honestly, here's what I'd like to see.
Collab.
Work it out. Both come on the show.
Yep.
We'll negotiate
a JV, a joint venture.
Yeah. And you guys can collab.
Maybe, you guys can collab.
Maybe you can find success.
Put cider in plastic bottles. Exactly what the world needs. Bring the science project with the trad-based stuff together. It's a match made in heaven. Everyone can be happy. But Michael does respond, and he says, I wish it had been that easy. We didn't invent the can. We spent 13 months figuring out how and who could actually fill them at scale. At every step, we were told just to switch to a normal can. Every canning line in the country is built for aluminum. Nothing was plug and play. And so, like, it is hard at work even to just put something in a can that exists or is patented because the manufacturing supply might not be there. And this is the unfortunate like struggle and the schlep of getting a consumer product to market. I mean, I'm sure you went through it with Rora, where you're like, okay, there's like a million different manufacturing decisions to make, and we want to maintain our brand values and what we're doing.
No, there's
a bunch of trade-offs and stuff.
I distinctly remember when my co-founders Brian and Charlie, we got the visual that looked almost identical to this. And then there were still like 10,000 decisions to be made. And both Brian and Charlie were just like, incredibly in the weeds on every single one.
Totally.
And they're all very high stakes. And, there's so many small setbacks and things like that. So that's the beauty of the reason that beverage attracts so many sort of new entrepreneurs is that it's a super tangible idea of I can see it in my head. Yeah. I can put the right ingredients in the can and then I'm going to sell it. Yep. And it's just so much harder.
It's a widgets business.
Yeah.
But at the same time, for a long time, software was super like high status because it was so complicated. You had to understand C++ or Java or Python and deployment and AWS and servers and all this stuff. And now it's been like, oh, well, you can vibe code a flight simulator in a day, but it takes 13 months to put caffeine in a can. Yeah. It's like kind of weird, but we're kind of flipping. And this is like the bits and atoms thing. Bits just move faster.
Yeah.
So good luck, Michael. Send us some product if you see this.
No, but I'd love to taste test. There's a my wife invested in a company. Yeah. That at like a 5 cap. Yep. That put olive oil in a plastic bottle. Yep. And it's up 50x in like 2 something years.
It's great.
And so just something as simple as as sort of in this case, novel product, energy water in a new form, in a new bottle. It's very possible this is wildly successful.
It's funny seeing him gripe about production because wait until you try and go into retail, buddy. It's going to be a million
because you have to change everything?
No.
You're just saying retail generally.
Oh, yeah. Just like actually getting retail distribution on this is going to be 1,000 times more frustrating. Not that he can't do it and it won't be difficult, but it's going to be a lot more just unreasonable.
Basically, you have to pay us to put this on our shelves.
Oh, totally. Like every deal is bespoke, and you're competing with Alani Nu and Celsius and Red Bull, and they all have monopolies, and they all want, hey, we want to keep our yerba mate on the shelf, and you're competing against every other company, and that's really where the game is won. Like Graza, the olive oil company, has won because they're in every store now. I'm sure they're doing great on e-commerce, but that company is not a 50x return if they don't figure out retail. And retail is hard and a schlep, and it's something that is probably going to make these 4 failed production runs look like the easy mode. Anyway, good luck to you, Michael, and send us some. We'd love to try it. Should we go to Max Meyer?
Before that, I'd like to do a promoted ad.
Let's do it.
So we have from Jose, High Class and Tasteful, and he doesn't even do any type of review. He just does the headline, which is high class and tasteful, 5 stars, and he jumps right into the ad, which is very aggressive.
Yeah, what is this?
But potentially a smart move because most people have been putting it. So he says, Variable, an early stage company HQ'd in Dallas, helps manufacturers scale efficiently with a flexible on-demand labor model. This gives U.S. manufacturers a competitive edge over China without relying on AI sweatshops or bloatware staffing platforms like Traba. Hey,
taking shots.
Mike's a friend of the show, but sometimes attack ads are effective. Variable optimizes your labor, eliminates low or OT work, boosts productivity, and tracks key metrics. Visit variableops.com and tell them to give Jose a raise. So he's just taking the initiative. He's just not the founder, but he's just getting out there. So I'm going to go there and just tell them to give Jose a raise. Okay. Even though I don't think we're qualified unless we need to get unless we need to get Ben.
Yeah, we gotta test drive that product.
Ben, where are you?
Anyway.
He's there. And one more review while we're at it.
Okay.
This is Hard Power, Soft Beliefs, in my review of Technology Brothers. TBPN is the seminal technology podcast of our day. John and Jordy exemplify the human desire to create and contribute to a product that is bigger than the self, a devotion to the aesthetic, and for that, I'm grateful to the brotherhood. This 5-star review is brought to you by Techno Republic on X, a new project that shares the best quotes and ideas from Alexander Karp's book, The Technological Republic. Follow Techno Repub on X today to join your fellow brothers building the future of the West. Very cool. I'm gonna go follow this right now.
Fantastic.
And thank you for the review, Techno
And while
Repub.
You're doing that, we'll move over to Max Meyer, also another publisher similar to Alex Karp. Actually works with another Palantir co-founder over at AVC. Max Meyer says, airports these days are the perfect picture of American affluenza. The U.S. upper-ish class has too much money, but never enough. Lots of suspicious pre-boarders. Teens in designer clothes, $500 headphones muttering what to flight staff. There are like 50 people in boarding group 1 now as well. You can see the confusion on people's faces who've clearly been boarding first for a while, who now wait 20 minutes standing just to have their spot in line. The lounges are overrun. And again, you can see the exasperation on the faces of people waiting for them, thinking they'd paid for a service and realizing that now it's like Disneyland. Prices across the board have gone up and demand keeps up. This is one of the main effects of mass affluence, I guess. Airline taxes are as high as ever, and as a result, actual budget flights a la Ryanair are not allowed. At this point, a budget flight is anything under $300. People are amazingly unforgiving. They get violent looks in their eyes when staff announce that overhead bin space will run out. For many flyers, being asked to check a bag is like being asked for one of their kidneys. So many people look at children like they're rodents that have infiltrated the house rather than our treasures and our futures. He's such a good writer. Parents are the scapegoat of every flight. Funny enough, the TSA feels like the one thing that has gotten better. Maybe I choose my airports and flying times well, but I don't remember the last time I waited more than 15 minutes to get through. Sometimes the clear line is comically longer than the regular line next to it. And for whatever reason, people will just not move over to the shorter line. It's pretty rare to see actual brawling, but you do hear about those things. As a writer and chronicler of America, this entropy interests me. Yeah, interesting. Basically an ad for private jets. I completely agree with you, Max. Everyone should be flying in a G650 ER, ideally. Maybe a
and we're going to have
Embraer.
that. We're going to have that.
Yeah.
It's super intelligence.
Yes.
That's one of the things Sam Altman's gone on record. He says,
exactly.
If Mossad is able to do this round,
yes,
and
post AGI,
Stargate,
everyone has a private jet, obviously. Yep. So problem solved soon.
And
Max, don't worry.
Figure allegedly is training their robots to build PJs.
Oh, so that'd be great.
Actually, you won't even need to.
Yeah.
And mine the ore needed to create the jet.
Fantastic.
So you buy your figure for $20,000.
Yeah.
It'll actually build you a Gulfstream.
And that's coming in 12 to 18 months, right?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, great.
Just after the IPO.
Yeah, so. just after the next fundraise.
Yeah.
It'll be here. Great.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. Let's move on. Avi Schiffman back on the show. We got to have him on live soon. He says companies should shut down when the founder leaves. Pretty good take.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Ben Thompson has an interesting take on this.
And they should, if the founder passes away, they should just it should shut down in solidarity.
In solidarity?
Yeah.
Dead man switch. If I die, my company goes with me. No, I mean, Ben Thompson has a take on this, which is basically like companies do not need to go on forever. So it's actually okay for a company to be in kind of its late stage and just dividend all the profits until it's like done. This is kind of what's happening with like the cigarette companies. Like literally no one like new smokers are not emerging. The market is shrinking. They just increase the price on the reducing customer base. And over time they make the same amount of revenue, but their cash flows are steady, and so they're just gonna like whittle down basically. And they all have plans of like, oh, we'll get into the new markets, but none of them are doing that well in the new alternative market. And so a lot of people are just like, well, they dividend a lot, they pay out, and so if you have Ultra is $100 billion company, if you invest right now and you get $150 billion in cash returned to you over the next 5 years or something, like that could be a good. That could be a good deal, even if the value of the stock is zero at the end. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
So
I think Avi dropping these, they're thought provoking.
Totally.
And I think there's some value to that.
Yeah, it's fun. Good poster. Tim Sussman says, we invested in a YC startup a week ago. Their revenue growth was so high, it would have been crazy to ignore it. Just saw them on alumni demo day. They doubled their revenue in the past week. Let's go. That's exciting. We're very... Oh, yeah.
And a cheers.
Let's size gong that. Let's cheers the Dom Perignon.
And we have some YC news that we'll be sharing.
We will be at Demo Day in just a few days.
I was going to say we're going to share it tomorrow.
We'll be there. We're going to announce what we're going to be doing there tomorrow, I guess. But let's move on to Windsurf sharing a video from YC from their Lightcone podcast. Jason. So Windsurf says, not every day you wake up to a shout out from Y Combinator. Jared Freeman explains why founders are switching to Windsurf. Is Windsurf a YC company? or are they just like loved by YC? I don't know. We'll have to figure it out.
The fact that the partner was coming out and taking such a strong stand
makes you think. Anyway, Jason Lemkin says, brutal competition always comes to software. Partners become competitors, collaborators compete. Usually it takes a few years, though, to get real. AI is accelerating at the pace, an order of magnitude in coding and contact center already. Huh. I can't really understand that. Will it do the same to your category? Interesting. So yeah, I mean, like, I don't even understand.
A lot of people were pushing back on this, saying if you don't think that Cursor indexes your code base, you haven't used it. But
indexes your code base? Oh, like pulls it in as like training data? I mean, there's just like layers and layers to this fight right now. There's like the Cursor versus Windsurf debate, but then there's also the Cursor versus Claude Code debate that's happening.
Yeah.
Will it all commoditize? Who knows?
Yeah.
Anyway, Elad Gil's in the Gundo, wondering if he should get some curls and Zin in. He also really wants a mustache. This place may have changed me forever. I love when a new Size Lord capital allocator takes the Gundo tour. You know, Augustus took them around, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Introduced him to everyone else. Little bit of a controversial post because he spells Zin wrong. It's Z-Y-N. He says Z-I-N. Hit him. And also in the Gundo, man, I mean, this is like, you know, highest penetration place in the world for Lucy. So Zin's kind of out there. Got to get on the next generation of products when it comes to nicotine. But you should do some curls and some bench press. And you should, basically just wind down your podcast, become a Size Lord, become a mass monster, and go for your IFBB Pro card. I've met
That's
you
what we want to see.
And I think you have it.
It's got what it takes.
I think you get diced. Get big.
And do the Mount Rushmore of the West.
Yes.
Next topic. My dear friend, my oldest friend, called me last night.
Okay.
Like long after I went to bed. I go to bed very early.
Yes.
So I saw it this morning, and he just joined the chat on YouTube and said, "Hey, Jordy." He just called me, and I told him I'm live right now. Yeah. I can't talk. And he said in the chat, "I wanted to let you know I got engaged."
Oh, wow.
Congratulations. Let's cheers to Cody and his lovely fiance, Emily. And congratulations, Cody. I love you. And if we ever need a financial model, he is the guy to go to. Right now, we're just sort of vibe coding our finance, but absolute finance Chad.
Let's get him to do something.
And congratulations.
Well, speaking of your early bedtime, we are sponsored by 8 Sleep, nights that fuel your best days. Turn any bed into the ultimate sleeping experience. Go to 8sleep.com/TBPN and upgrade your sleeping experience. I was miserable the last 2 nights, honestly, at the Ritz-Carlton, which not a bad hotel. They don't have 8 Sleeps, and it was miserable. It was not a fun experience. It really does ruin every other bed. So get one, never travel ever again, and just stay in your 8 Sleep forever.
It truly is unbelievably good.
It's so good. We highly recommend it. Check it out. Anyway,
this morning I woke up.
Yeah.
4:45.
Yeah.
It's effectively 3:45 according to my brain.
Yeah.
We gotta have completely. It's the dead. It's the dead of night.
Yeah.
And you know what I thought to myself? I thought, thank God for 8sleep.com/TBPN.
Yes.
Where anybody can get $400 off 8 Sleep.
Yes.
And get to experience the sort of
the joy, the feeling,
warming effect in the morning.
It really makes waking up so easy. It's crazy.
And the vibration alarm clock.
I don't do that one.
You got to try it. You got to try it.
Yeah.
It's subtle.
I've tried it. I just, the warm works for me.
It's subtle. It is.
It's a good option.
It's fantastic.
It's great. Well, anyway, go check it out. Let's move on to the Optify kids. This is the YC company that was canceled briefly, but they're back. They created sweatshop software, essentially. That was the critique of them. But they leaned in, they went direct, and they printed T-shirts that say "Justice for Worker 17." And Spore says the Optify kids are going to be all right. They're having fun with it. They clearly realized that their first message didn't resonate. They turned it around, and I cannot wait to talk to these guys because I think they're having fun, and I love it.
Yeah, we're going to talk to them Wednesday.
Yep, and it was great. So love Justice for Worker 17, creating a lot of fun on the timeline, a great meme, and still just so funny that happened, all the back and forth.
Yeah.
But they had a good time, and I think this is the right way to handle it. They didn't put out some groveling post saying like we're sorry. They just like they kind of took a breather.
I think if anything, it will be helpful because every investor at the very least will want to talk to them for the novelty
at this point.
For the novelty of talking to the legends that made that video.
The legends. And I mean, we talked about this before. Like, there's so many things that you could tweak in that presentation and that software that would be beneficial. Yeah. And I mean, they created such a meme that someone built an Optify clone for PMF or Die. So
which is fully functional.
It's fully functional. You can go to pmforDie.xyz and see the productivity of the two guys that are in the cage right now, Blake and Patty. And so you can check it out. And it's hilarious that somebody built that so fast. But I mean, it helps when they're live streaming constantly. Anyway, let's move on to another YC founder, an alum, one of the legends, Emmett Shear. He says, when I was CEOing at Twitch, one of the things I do every batch of interns was a very short presentation on the origins of the company and then a Q&A. One of the questions is always, where should I work and what job should I get, or should I start a company? And he goes on to say, it's an interesting question to try and answer for an intern I didn't really know because, of course, the actual answer is dependent on that person and their life. So I had to figure out how to articulate the framework I used. First, there's money. Obviously, you want money, but money is well known for diminishing returns. Debatable. After you have enough for rent and food and so on, then so you don't want to optimize for cash. It's more of a constraint. Then there's prestige. How much will getting this job impress people? Prestige is mostly a trap. For the same reason, designer clothing brands are bad deals. Also debatable. Brand might make something less discerning people think better of you, but it won't actually make you better or better off. Power is also on offer, usually called impact, and the chance to make a difference. Or mission. We like power because it feels good to wield, the pure joy of throwing a stone in the lake and watching it splash. And
we need Emmett to write a book.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great writer and really great points. What is your framework when someone asks you, where should I work or should I start a company?
So generalized advice is probably one of the most dangerous things in the entire world.
Yep.
There's nothing... Yes, you can get advice and try to kind of general advice from somebody that you don't know and try to apply it to your life.
Everyone should have an 8 sleep. Everyone should buy a watch on bezel. Everyone should be on public. Yeah, everyone should be on ramp. But I hear your point. Yes.
And obviously advertise on AdQuick. But
obviously.
No, this is the thing. To me, the most important thing you can do in your 20s is develop a meaningful enough relationship with smart enough people whose lives you admire and only get advice from them.
Yep.
Like David Senra and Sean Frank are like two of the only people on earth that aren't immediate family or or Ben, our lovely producer Ben.
Yeah.
But in general, like I only take sort of professional advice from a couple people in the world because they understand my values. They know the things that I care about. They know what I want to optimize for. They know all these things. And they have a unique and earned perspective.
Yep.
And so it's much better to have, one or two people and only get sort of professional advice from them. And that is the thing that has served me the best in life. The best career decisions that I've made were in response to people like Sean Frank's advice, people like, David Senra's advice, and I can kind of pinpoint even the conversation. So
get a rich wallet, start a podcast.
Yeah. Like I think if you had a strong personal relationship with Naval, I'm sure he could give you really good advice.
Yep.
But just blanket, taking his advice, like you should work like a lion, and then somebody like works hard for 2 days and takes like 2 days off. Like, don't do that. You know, like you need to sort of like take it and process it, and then ideally get the same advice from somebody that actually knows.
Well, I threw this post in here randomly, but it seems like an answer to Emmett Shear's post from Guillermo Rao over at Versailles. He says, in a world of infinite possibility, the alpha is in focus, quality, and depth. And that feels like the right level of like meta advice that is almost safe to apply to everyone. Yes. It's not go work at this specific company.
Except if you're an investor and you're like, oh, I'm really into games, and then somebody pitches you a CRM and then it becomes Salesforce. It's you took the advice of I'm just gonna fall so again, you can always apply these things.
Focus, quality, and depth. Does that keep you from investing in Salesforce?
Yeah, because you're saying I'm going to be the best. I'm going to be the investor.
You're too focused.
I'm going to deliver the best returns, and I'm just going to focus on.
Well, it depends on what you're focusing on. You could be focusing on founders, right? Quality of businesses. It doesn't necessarily need to be something as narrow as focusing on a specific company or a specific niche. Yeah, you could be focusing on an axiom of investing. But yes, I hear your point. Interesting. Well, let's go to another post about being young and doing great things. Gabriel says, the only thing stopping me from doing great things when I was young was that I thought I was a moron and there were too many people smarter than me. I still do. The only difference is that I realized everyone else is a moron as well. It's kind of a midwit meme.
Yes.
It was actually a huge unlock when
maxing.
when I realized the bell curve of people is not that wide and being economically productive seems to come from what thoughts and insight about the world rather than genes. Interesting. A good one. Did we talk about ServiceNow at all? I don't think we have. ServiceNow is buying Moveworks, the AI platform, for almost $3 billion. They were backed by Bain, Lightspeed, Kleiner.
For the shareholders, and Bain and Lightspeed and Kleiner and their LPs.
Yeah.
Great moment.
Great exit.
ServiceNow is a company that I just don't know anything about.
I mean, honestly, when we put this in the stack, I was like, I kind of got them confused with ServiceTitan. ServiceNow, ServiceTitan, we're doing two stories on the same thing.
And this is a $160 billion company.
But this one's much bigger than ServiceTitan. ServiceTitan's what, $8 billion?
It's a cloud computing platform for the creation and management of automated business workflows.
Let's go.
Buying a platform called Moveworks.
Gundo bros hate this. Hate this one weird trick.
Yeah.
Make $100 billion building B2B SaaS. Augustus.
The haters.
Somebody needs to do a wellness check on Augustus Tarico right now.
Yeah.
Because
honestly, somebody should go and do a content warning, tell Augustus,
hey, don't
really
listen to this episode.
They're
talking about, trigger warning, Augustus.
Trigger warning,
They're talking about ServiceNow. Be careful. You're going to be super depressed when you hear how much money people are making automating business processes.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Some people wake up and from a young age, they know they want to live a life that allows them to deliver value through automating business processes using AI.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Different. Yeah.
That's
their
beautiful.
Ikigai.
Yeah.
It's their life's work. They're live players.
My Ikigai is automating business processes.
You're laughing, but it's true. It's real. Some people love this. They're built for it. It's great. Anyway, if you want to get on ServiceNow and the action, head over to public.com. Investing for those who take it seriously. They have multi-asset investing, industry-leading yields. They're trusted by millions. Of course, this is not financial advice, but it is the preferred platform of
the
TBPN.
Technology Brothers.
So go check it out. Anyway, let's move on to former brother of the week, Justin Mayers, profiled in none other than Forbes. Our favorite publication that we never say anything negative about. We love Forbes here.
That's right.
8 years of hard work. And Justin and Kettle and Fire have been featured in Forbes. Congratulations.
And so to be clear, this was not a contributor piece that you can basically get for $20.
Yep.
This was a cover story. Daily cover story.
Let's go. Beautiful picture of Justin.
It shows him great. looking fantastic. And there, a bunch of the brothers in the community quoted this and said nice things about him. But I just liked the boy who sold soup.
The boy who sold soup.
That's
that is so good from John Fio.
Oh my god!
The boy who sold soup. Incredible read. So good.
Here's the thing, though. Justin is incredibly hardworking and kind.
Yeah.
And
it's fantastic.
There's a reason he's a former brother of the week.
Yes.
And some people have said to me they don't know when I'm being sarcastic or when I'm being serious. I'm not being sarcastic right now. Incredible human.
He's a great guy.
And I'm lucky to call him a friend.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for our episode on Thursday when Justin joins. We're going to be talking about the hot topics in consumer health. We'll talk about who's making money on Maha, which I'm excited about.
Yeah.
what the vibes are like at Mar-a-Lago, where he's been spending time.
It's great.
And of course the bone broth empire that he's built.
He made his money in bone broth.
He's basically built a almost, like, I don't even say this ironically, he almost has a monopoly on the bone broth market.
He really does.
Because it's actually
how much money is he making, Jordy?
$100 a year.
Let's go. $100 million.
That's their run rate. I think they're probably that was whenever, I think they're probably well beyond that now.
It's a fantastic business. He's a fantastic entrepreneur.
We got a fantastic post from Bucko Capital Bloke, and I'm going to read this.
Yeah, read it.
Dude, it's Jevons paradox. It's literally Bamal's cost disease, a classic example of Gell-Mann's amnesia effect. Oh, that's the Monty Hall problem. It's orthogonal to Dutch disease. It's prisoner's dilemma. You're a prisoner. You're in prison. You're in prison.
You're imprisoned. It's great.
It's so
mental
good.
Models, frameworks.
Trapped in a mental model. Trapped in a framework. Can't get out. Anyways, absolute banger. He's had some great posts today. While we're at it, I'm gonna pull.
That's great.
He was talking about the Redfin acquisition, right?
Oh yeah. I think that's the bottom of the stack.
The bloke was.
Says Redfin got acquired today. Shout out to their CEO for one of the wildest things I've ever heard on an earnings call. The analyst on this earnings call for Redfin says, what if mortgage rates don't come down? Of course, this would be harmful to Redfin's business because they buy and sell homes. And when mortgage rates go down, people buy a lot of homes. And Glenn, the CEO, says...
This is a public company CEO.
Do we need to censor any of this? I don't think so. Glenn says, we'll drink our own urine or our competitor's blood, stay in the foxhole.
No, he says, great question. Plan B is drink our own urine or our competitor's blood, stay in the foxhole.
I don't know if you remember, but our last earnings call ended with a single line from a Who song, Won't Get Fooled Again, where I said, we're not banking on low rates when other people had thought they might come down. I don't know. Weird. Go Glenn. He got out. He sold the company. Congrats to Glenn.
Congrats.
Size gong for Glenn. And I love a CEO dropping a hot take on an earnings call. Real, don't have a lot of time to post when you're running a public company. You got to get those bangers out in the earnings call when the analyst asks.
That's crazy. They were trading.
Yeah, what was Redfin worth? It was a Zillow competitor, right?
Oh, wow. They were trading at like a quarter of their revenue.
Oof, rough.
Yeah. Tough go.
Anyway.
But they got out.
Yeah, they got out. Let's move on to Blake Anderson. He's locked in the cage right now, but he says 10X will be a $100 million company within 1 year. He's manifesting. What's their ARR right now? They haven't launched yet, so they're still at zero. But they haven't spent much money. They're only a couple weeks into the cage. And their goal, of course, is to hit $1 million in ARR in 90 days. And he's very confident about that. And he's confident that he will take it further, take it all the way to $100 million.
All the way.
So good luck to Blake. If you want to go check out what he's doing, go to pmfordie.com. Anyway, let's move on to, Josh Wolf. He says, incredible leadership in the United Arab Emirates as a husband to a super successful feminist in a male-dominated world and father to 2 bold daughters raised by my sacrifice-it-all single mom and grandma. Women have more rights in the UAE than some U.S. states. He's clearly fundraising, but I just want to take a second to say the UAE is one of the greatest innovations in human rights in the world. And I think that everyone needs to acknowledge that at this point. Everything in the Middle East is fantastic. And I can't say enough good things. And, I really hope that everyone in the Middle East can come together and support American financial markets more aggressively than ever before. What do you think, Jordy?
I agree, John.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Let's move on to Gary Tan.
You're not beating the fundraising allegations. Will started a rumor mill last week when he said he was leading around in TBPN. It's there had been rumors that we had been in the Middle East, and so you're not really helping the rumor mill, John. But anyways, back to the show.
We do what we have to do. Did you hear about the Simpsons producer who was forced to demolish his 24-year-old Simpsons-inspired treehouse after the city of LA demanded he permit it like a single-family dwelling? Gary Tan says, deregulate housing. Yes, in my backyard. And I couldn't agree. It is post fires. It's more important than ever to reconsider how permitting is done. It's a treehouse. and they wanted it to be ADA compliant. So they wanted a wheelchair ramp into the treehouse, which I think was probably impossible. So they made him tear it down. Very sad. And my problem with this is like, I am okay with I'm okay with housing regulations and rules around how you build things, because you don't want someone building some massive structure that just falls over and destroys your house next to you. But you need high throughput approvals. And what I was kind of pitching was like, there should be a CAD plugin where you design your structure, and at every moment it's running the algorithm to say, is this approved or is this denied? And then you can just see, okay, everything's green, click print the plans, go build it, you're good.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Instead of, oh, we designed the blueprints and then we send them in, and then a month later it comes back and they have one tweak, and then another month, and it just goes on back and forth and back and forth. And it's very annoying. And now is the time to fix housing, and Gary Tan has been a very vocal voice for that. So we love it. We actually have a whole bunch of Gary Tan posts here. Let's go to the next one. He's quote tweeting someone who says, so I just simply asked Manus to give me the files. Oh, we already talked about this. And Gary, I don't know if you want to cover this, but
he came to a similar conclusion, which is all the alpha is in custom prompting, tool use, and clever workflow and evals. So, I can't wait for demo day. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of people adopting similar approaches to Manus, as some people call it Manus, some people call it Manus.
My noose. The nominative determinism is that you will be hung by it.
Yes.
It's not great. Anyway,
dark.
Things got a little spicy with the Acquired podcast. They flew out to Taiwan. They interviewed TSMC founder Morris Chang, legend. I've been calling for Morris Chang to go on Joe Rogan for years now, and it hasn't happened. We saw Zuck go on. We saw Peter Thiel go on. We saw Naval Ravikant go on. Mark Andreessen's been on. I wanted Morris Chang to go on Rogan. Didn't happen, but fortunately, the good folks over at Acquired Podcast got it done. They flew out there. They interviewed him. But funny exchange. Gilbert says TSMC is essentially the only $1 trillion company in the world not on the west coast of the United States. It is this incredibly important thing in the world. It's this unlikely success of grand scale. And Morris Chang cuts him off and says, unlikely in your opinion. And Gilbert says, I mean, you started it when you were 56. There are many things. And Chang chimes in again and says, I'm not going to argue with you. I merely asked as a point of curiosity. I didn't think that it was unlikely. Mogged. I love it.
That's great, though.
You go over to meet with a 80-year-old founder, and he just tells you, I never had a doubt in my mind. Not for a second.
Not for a second.
But I mean, the Acquired guys are doing fantastic interviews, and they are, I hope this soundbite goes viral, or like there's more soundbites from the Morris Chang interview that go viral, because there's that famous Jensen Huang interview that they did where there's that clip that goes viral where they're like, if you had to go back and you had to do it all again, would you do it? And he's just like, no, I wouldn't do it. It's been too hard. It's been too miserable. I don't like it. It's bad.
But I'm here and check out my leather jacket.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very, very, very funny interaction, and they obviously do a ton of research on these companies, so they show up extremely prepared and get great sound bites. And so go check it out. You can listen to the TSMC founder Morris Chang on the Acquired podcast. You can go to their YouTube; it's probably in their RSS feed as well.
Okay, anyway. One more post.
Yep,
and then and before we do that last post, I wanted to give.
Champagne. That's what you got to do before that next post.
I'm gonna stop myself at 2 because we
haven't finished the bottle.
Yeah, there's no rule about a Dom. There's no rule about a Dom episode.
Let us know in the chat what you think. Should Jordy finish
let us
the bottle?
Know in the chat. No, but I wanted to give a quick shout out to Wander.
Okay,
number one place to book vacation rentals in the world. They are more than vacation homes. They are simply
find your happy place.
Start over.
Find your happy place.
Find your happy place.
Book a Wander with inspiring views.
We need the guitar for that.
Yeah, we do. We do need the guitar. Hotel grade amenities, dreamy beds, top tier cleaning, and 24/7 concierge service. It's a vacation home, but better. Jordy, do you have a link or a code?
Yeah, you just have to go to wander.com/TBPN.
Yes.
If you just create an account, they're going to give away I think it's like a 4-ish night trip to someone in our audience.
That's a long trip. That's nice.
Yeah.
Longer than I was in Tahoe.
So go do it. It takes a second. You can use Google or any other login, and you'd be silly not to. and invite us. Maybe we'll come.
That sounds great.
We rarely leave the house except to do the show.
But if you book one that has a podcasting room, we'll be there.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Let's go to Gabe. Tech guys take up a creative hobby because they want to prove they are ensouled, unlike all other tech guys. And then they end up taking... and then they end up with the exact same hobbies as all other tech guys, which are making electronic music and photography. Bodied.
I do know some tech guys that have taken up electronic music and photography.
Yep. But that's why we advocate for Nürburgring, bodybuilding, MMA, long distance rifle shooting,
watchmaking,
most dangerous game,
car collecting, even if you don't want to drive the cars fast, just collect the cars.
Sailing alone across the Pacific Ocean.
That's right.
These are hobbies that will differentiate you if you're looking for something. You're not going to become glorious and remembered in the trenches of EDM and photography.
Carve your own Mount Rushmore.
Yes.
In the Marin
Highlands.
Highlands.
Yes, I agree.
Just do it.
Someone says, want to go bouldering? And Gabe says, I will not do this. Very popular hobby. But yeah, get out there, get deep in some rabbit holes on YouTube, find an obscure hobby. And
that's
then go really, really deep. Watch collecting. Go to Bezel. Start collecting watches. It's much better than photography. Anyway, Landseer Enga says, you think Cursor's growth is crazy. There's a company in this YC batch that hit $50 million in annualized profit in 2 months. What do you think, Jordy?
Annualized profit.
It's a weird stat, right?
Yeah. Because
what if you have a bunch of CapEx?
Because if you're making that much money, you should probably hire and scale the team and sort of spend even, I don't know.
Yeah. Annualized profit. It's like, is that like one good day?
It'd also be hilarious if it was, one good day.
1 hour.
No payroll expenses hit. It was
exactly.
Just pure
nothing.
Play.
Pure profit that day.
I mean, it's still impressive.
I'm sure it's a great company, but it is funny that we're now talking about annualized profit, which is not like really a thing. Cash balance over time is what matters. But if you're making so much profit and you need to manage your expenses, you got to go to ramp.com. Time is money, save both. Easy to use corporate cards, bill payments, accounting, and a whole lot more all in one place. I really hope that YC company signs up for Ramp. And if we meet them, we will definitely be pitching them Ramp. Anyway.
We should have an iPad where anybody that comes that we run into, we just sign them up for Ramp.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be great.
It's more of a public service than a sales activity, a sales motion.
Yes. Let's go to Richard Crabe. Very fascinating poster. Doesn't post very often. Do you know this guy?
John has insane podcasters high right now because we were like, this is the last post, like 3 posts ago.
What are you talking about? I never agreed to that. You still have champagne you haven't finished. Let's keep going. What do you have to do the rest of the day? Nothing. You're posting. You're podcasting. Let's keep going.
Cheers to that.
We literally only have 6 posts left. We can get through this. We're good. I'll skip some of these. Some of these are repeats too. We'll skip this one.
Stick with us, folks.
We'll skip
John
this
saved
one.
the best for last.
Okay. We'll skip this one. We'll skip this. Is a duplicate. Let's just close out on Richard Crabe. Very interesting poster. He only pops up when something big is happening in the market. He runs a hedge fund, Numeri. And he said he woke up today wondering how Leopold Aschenbrenner's situational awareness hedge fund is doing. And so, do you know the story of Leopold Aschenbrenner?
Is that the OpenAI?
He was at OpenAI. He left. Yeah. He did a great podcast with Dwarkesh Patel, talked about scaling laws and basically predicted that, if you scale out the AGI systems, like it's going to get really, really crazy. Made a bunch of kind of pivots away from the traditional AI safety arguments towards kind of geopolitical relevance.
Yeah.
The idea that these will be, akin to nuclear weapons, very controlled. But I think what Richard here is saying that, Leopold's bet was that situational awareness hedge fund, like go turbo long NVIDIA, basically like AI is the future. And then of course, like things are selling off right now. And if you're levered long NVIDIA, even if it's a good bet over the very long term, you could be in a rough spot.
Timing and sizing.
Exactly. And so Richard Crabe's throwing some questions up on the timeline. I thought were interesting, but good luck to Leopold. I'm a big fan of his podcast. I thought it was very interesting. Anyway, anything else you want to cover?
I don't know if this is somebody messing around. Okay, it's not. This is breaking news. We got some personnel news.
What is this?
Somebody on the chat.
Oh, you're talking a big game about me going too long.
Okay,
now we got
John.
breaking news. Jordy's. Oh, we got to do one more.
Okay, yeah. Did you finish? You didn't quite finish the bottle, but that's all.
Done.
That's all you, John.
The bottle's done.
So under the number, not less than 10 minutes ago, he says, "When's the next Some Personnel News? Should be a regular segment." And the answer is right now. Eric Schmidt, former CEO of Google, is the new leader of Relativity Space. He's joining as CEO. This is 50 minutes ago.
That's incredible.
And it says, I got an article here from Ars Technica. Another Silicon Valley investor is getting into the rocket business. Everybody's getting into the rocket business. We've sketched out some designs. We're exploring it, but just to get some of our own low Earth orbit satellites just to stream the show down. But apparently he's been quite involved over the past few months, and that he's largely been bankrolling the company since the end of October. Dangerous position to get in when you are the lifeline of the company and the burn becomes your own personal expenses. But if anybody can afford it, it's Schmidt. And it's not immediately clear why Schmidt is taking a hands-on approach at Relativity. But this article says it's one of the few U.S.-based companies with a credible path toward developing a medium-lift rocket that could potentially challenge the dominance of SpaceX and its Falcon 9 rocket. So, pretty wild. Anybody that wanted the Google founders to go back to Google.
He's not a founder.
He's
CEO.
Crazy.
CEO for a long time, but he was never founder of Google.
That's wild. Exposed. But granted, I was a small child in that era.
Yeah. I mean, clearly, he grew the company. He's like a fantastic executive, but technically not a founder. But maybe that's a bull case because Relativity has already been founded. He comes in, and if he can do what he did for Google to Relativity, it's very bullish.
True.
I don't know.
And Google is down 5% on the news after hours.
Oof.
Obviously not.
No,
no, it is. It is, but it's because of the market.
It's not because he's this guy who hasn't been involved in the company for a decade. Former CEO. But that's the nature of Some Personnel News. Anything can happen in the market.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's an argument. It's like, okay, Eric, it's so insane for Eric to join Relativity Space.
Yep.
And Eric's thinking is still embedded in this company. Maybe the company's worth less.
The fact that he's choosing to go back into the CEO role and he's not going back to Google, bear case. Yeah. Maybe. That's what you come here for. The worst financial advice you've ever heard.
No, it's our job to give the worst advice so that nobody could ever say, as a joke, so nobody could ever say, you guys are giving financial advice, which we never do. We never have. Anyways, fun show today.
Fun show.
I will make sure John finishes the Dom.
I will make sure Jordy finishes his Dom. I refilled it to the top. To the top.
Ridiculous pour. Cheers to you, John.
Cheers to the great show.
This is our life's work. It is
Ikigai.
Ikigai. And thank you everyone for watching. We will see you tomorrow. We have a big
week.
Big announcement tomorrow morning.
Big announcement tomorrow morning. If you follow us on X, get ready to repost, engage, please. You'll know it when you see it.
That is for sure. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Bye.